He straightened in the saddle, feeling a strange thrill. They had arrived. What the hell? Hello, friends. I don't know. Feel like that was too long for the theme song.
It went. Hi.
Great.
What's
Hi.
up, Internet? My name's Nerdy.
And I'm Clarus.
And this is the Nerdy.
The Wordy.
The book club. From our basement.
Yeah, from our basement.
Yeah.
We did some dunda last night.
That's right. You're probably
guys
thinking,
did.
this looks different.
Oh gosh, wait. I need to.
Are you trying to raise
that up?
This is where all of our streaming stuff is, because we are doing the Roleplay Relay live this Saturday, November 25th.
Hell yeah.
Roleplay Relay 2, benefiting a cause called Cap for Kids, which financially supports families whose children have pediatric cancer. It's an incredible cause, and we are so happy to be partnered up with them. But we had to do a test of all the equipment last night in order to make sure that, see what equipment we might need by Saturday, see if this was going to work. It did.
It worked.
It was a very fun stream.
It was honestly great. I was not playing. We invited some of our friends. The only one who's not in Relay 2 was Shaylish, because she can't make it, but she was playing last night. Y'all, it was very funny. It was a great time. I was cackling it was so much fun. So that's on the channel. If you want to go watch it, you want to scratch that D&D itch. Very, very worth it. It was great.
It was awesome. Sorry, this whole stream is just hard to run because...
Yeah, because we don't actually have a computer here.
The computer's over there, so I'm trying to run everything from my iPad. We're going to see how this goes.
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah, no, it was an incredible stream. I was so grateful. Basically, we were like, how can we get 4 people over to play D&D while Claris, make sure all the tech works? And the way that we did that was we just asked all of our friends who live together to bring their house to our house.
Come D&D with us. And also our incredible editor Brandon was here to help run everything. He's going to be helping on Saturday as well. We are only a few days from the Roleplay Relay 2, which is very exciting.
We are also now live on Twitch and YouTube. And we're going to be doing that from now on all of our live streams. So if you prefer the operation of Twitch
interface,
the Twitch interface, if you will, you can now watch us in 2 different places, and soon coming to TikTok as well. I think we're going to try and stream from all 3. Yeah. This actually looks great.
This setup, yeah.
And honestly, it's kind of more comfy than our room.
Is it? Are we just going to build another computer to keep down here?
I don't know. I kind of dig this.
It's fun.
Yeah.
You don't have the lights directly in your eyes.
It's further away and it's higher up, so and it's also a nicer light with the softbox.
It could probably be turned down a little bit,
it could.
Yeah, we look good. We look good.
I would love to hear from chat how are we sounding?
Yeah, we could move the mic closer if necessary. Just let us know. Because obviously it's just the 2 of us. We don't have Brandon here to help run all those extra things. We also don't have Twitch chat up. So hi Twitch, if you're over there and you do want to chat, you can throw that in the YouTube chat and we will see that.
We'll have this solved for next time, but for today it's I don't have my laptop. I was going to run both, but for today it is going to be YouTube chat only. Sorry.
It's going to be so many screens. If we do this setup permanently, it's going to be YouTube, Twitch, and then my phone for modding if we need it.
Well, but I can mod from the computer.
True, that's true.
My laptop is easier to mod from. Anyway, this is Book Club. We're finally talking about... Oh my god. Give me a second. It's heavy. Murtagh. This book is big.
She's beefy.
She's a thick girl.
Yeah, we read this entire book in a day and a half. So that we could talk to Christopher Paolini about that. If you missed that interview, it is currently on the YouTube channel, so go take a look at it. But yeah, this was a lot of reading.
It was a lot of reading.
Yeah. I reread the first half for book club this week because I
didn't have time.
No, that's fine. I just had the audiobook on and I wanted to refresh. The original plan for this book club was that we were going to not have read the whole thing in week 1, and so we could predict and stuff like that. But the opportunity to interview Christopher Paolini was too enticing,
yes.
and
he wanted to talk about the book in a whole.
He wanted to talk about Murtagh, and we were like, okay, great, we can make that happen. So I'm very glad that we did, but
me too.
It does mean that we know how the book ends, so we can't we can't do the prediction stuff. But that's okay. Whatever we decide to book club in December.
Yeah.
We'll do it. We'll do that.
Yeah, Clarus, before we get into everything else, we do have some housekeeping for today. And the main piece of housekeeping is that this stream is brought to you by MistyMountainGaming.com.
Hell yeah.
There are Misty Mountain Gaming dice over there, but I can't get to them easily.
Don't worry about it.
They are a dice and D&D accoutrement company that allows for you to feel good, sexy, hot, wonderful, amazing while you play the titty-purges.
The titty-erps.
The titty-erps.
The titty-erps.
The titty-erps. If you want to play a titty-erpka with your friends, you should go to MistyMountainGaming.com and use the coupon code nerdynightly15 for 15% off your order. Go get yourself some dice.
Yeah, they also have a Black Friday sale on right now. So go get the ones that you want before they're gone because, like, honestly, by Friday, they probably will be.
Yeah, I think they have a buy 3, get 1 free dice
free
deal.
dice. Guys, girl math is that you save money if you get 3 sets because you get 1 for free.
The other thing, and unfortunately this does not coincide with Black Friday because I believe their deal will be done by this, but if you do come to the Roleplay Relay and you do donate, if you go to the Tiltify link right now and you donate, you will actually be entered into a raffle to win $100 of Misty Mountain Gaming dice. Not once, 9 raffles. We're going to be giving away a $100 gift card to MistyMountainGaming.com every single hour this Saturday at the Roleplay Relay 2. But now it's time to talk about Murtagh. Close, first half of the book. How'd you feel about it? Oh, do you want to show this off? These, you can't have these.
You can't have
these
them.
Santa trophies, there's, I believe, 8 of them that our
9
players
maybe?
can win. Maybe 9. This one is chat's favorite. So
Yes.
on Saturday, at the end of the night, there will be a poll, and everyone who's donated will be able to vote on that poll. And
I think that'll just be in YouTube.
no, it's on Tiltify.
You can do polls on.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Didn't
All
know
the
that.
polls on Saturday will be on Tiltify.
Gotcha.
Because we are trying to raise money, and so
Yes.
we'll do it there.
Any amount helps.
So if you do donate, you'll be able to vote for chat's favorite, and you'll be able to give a Santa statue to someone. We also have statues for who does the most damage to Santa Claus, who kills Santa Claus. The killer gets the Santa Slay award. It's gonna be fun.
Yeah. We've got a bunch of awards. Some of them are kind of fun and silly. But yeah, we wanted to do something fun for the people who are giving their time this Saturday to play D&D with us. Also, Blue, welcome back to the Nerd Table.
Blue, thank you for joining back up. It's been 22 months.
I know. Trust me, I know. That feels crazy.
I opened the Wheel of Time, or the Nerdy Wordy Book Club playlist on YouTube, and it was like 136 videos. I was
crazy.
That makes sense. That does make sense.
Yeah.
Clarissa, how did you feel about the first half of Murtagh? What was that noise?
There's so much like fun, like silly stuff in the first half, like Mukma the fish.
Yeah.
I found like funny, like obviously it was like dangerous and like he was like you know the fact that like Durza made him was kind of dark and fucked up. But like just,
hilarious.
Just Murtagh fighting a fish to me was very funny.
I liked it because it allowed for the book. We'll get to it when we get there, but I felt like it allowed for the book to have a like dragon-sized threat, physical threat.
Yeah.
Which the rest of the book kind of doesn't, right? The threats in this book are usually more emotional and more mental and more like wisdom saves than they are physical saves. So I feel like having the Mukma fight takes the pressure off of the second half of the book a little bit in terms of having the big action sequence against the thing that the dragon can fight.
Yeah. I also really enjoyed that Murtagh thinks that the Name of Names is kind of just like a be-all, end-all power. You know, he's like, I've leveled up. I reached level 100. There's nothing past here. But he didn't realize that you can go legendary mode and start over. Yeah, he tries to use the Name of Names twice, and it fails miserably. First with well, I fucking can't remember what the villain's name is.
Yeah.
Starts with a C, I'm pretty sure. With Essie, when he's with Essie and gives her the fork. But then also later with Mukma, because Durza's dead, but Durza's still wily. Do you think Durza has left any other surprises in Allegasia?
Yeah, I would assume so. I think that everyone who uses magic has left something behind. I think that Arya clearly left the floating boats of grass.
Yeah.
And the spirits have left behind the golden lilies, which reappear in this section this week.
Yeah.
And so I think that was just Christopher Paolini giving himself room to have threats like this in the future without having to worry about the narrative implications of explaining them away in like a new way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like he's kind of given himself in a way that I think is intelligent is like, oh, I'm going to put myself in a position where my world has the like opposite of the lilies and of the boats, right? Because those are these like beautiful pieces of magic that are lingering. What is the like moral opposite of those?
Yeah.
Mukma is kind of, literally the like moral opposite of the floating boat. And I think that by setting that up here, when he does want to go back to an Aragon story and kind of set up like, what is Aragon fighting? We're kind of like, oh, is Aragon going to find us? There's like a level of temptation and risk associated with Aragon returning to the fight.
Yeah.
Beyond just whatever might be up with the Dreamers. And so that just makes the world feel a little bit more full, right? There's not one enemy in this world.
Yeah.
It's not like Galbatorix is dead and all the evil left. And I think that that's what the first half of this book really does really well, right? You establish from the beginning that yes, Naswat is in charge, and yes, the world has changed, and yes, Aragon did kind of save the day. But at the same time, you cannot fully root out corruption. It is so hard.
Yeah.
Look at this actually reminded me a lot of Nazi Germany and what happened in Germany after that, where a lot of people are descended from Nazis that did not go to prison.
Yeah.
Because it was the Nazi party. Like it was the government of Germany.
Yeah.
And it's not like the Allies and the Russians went in and wiped out all Germans, right? There was a certain amount of play that had to happen in terms of who did like the really bad stuff and who was a Nazi that we're not going to, execute.
Yeah.
And how does the society move forward where some of those people are going to behave as if they're fine with the transition, but really aren't, right? There is a difficulty in rooting out corruption because there are always going to be people who you miss, who are
Like Lyrith.
Like Lyrith,
Yeah.
who are going to have had more power before and miss the old days. Even if it was a worse world, it wasn't a worse world for them, right?
Yes.
And so they
benefited from everyone else's pain.
1,000%. And I thought that, we'll talk about the first and the second halves of the book and how they're very different in terms of what they talk about.
Yeah.
This first book to me really was about how does the corruption of Galbatorix still bleed through into the world of Alagasia, and what can a very powerful man do about it? Oh, wait, it's not much.
I also have a feeling that Galbatorix, and I don't know this, but I have a feeling that Galbatorix was responsible for people's view of the Urgles. Not solely, but I mean, Murtagh's like, oh, I thought they lived in caves, right? Like, I'm sure that Galbatorix was happy to push a narrative that served his purposes that was completely untrue about the Urgles. Obviously, the Urgles are a violent race. Like, they definitely, like, have attacked people and done, like, bad things. Like, they have hurt people, but I think that Galbatorix, like, used that to his advantage, and really, like, use them almost as, like, a scapegoat, I guess, is the is the right word for it. Because people don't obviously, we know that Galbatorix, like, curated education, at least for people in Urubine and for Murtagh. And we know that, like, he, like, burned certain books. Like, Domir Aberwirda was a banned book inside of Alagasia. Hilarious that it's, like, very common outside. Like, Jode is like, yeah, there's, like, 6 copies in this camp. It's not worth anything anymore. That was very funny, but has absolutely no problem manipulating the narrative around, like, himself and making himself look better, and the history of how things happened. Obviously, we know that Brahm telling the story about the riders is, like, the death penalty.
Yeah.
Having Murtagh have that moment where he, like, flies over the Urgle villages and is like, oh, that, like, looks pretty normal, actually. I thought, that they were, like, a savage race that lived in caves, and they're actually like kind of not that.
Yeah, I think we should get back to starting at the beginning.
Yeah.
But I want to jump off that point from the very beginning of this book with Essie and with the town. I think that what we see is that Murtagh has changed a lot since Inheritance. It's been a year. Murtagh and Thorne are still on their Rumspringa up north, trying to stay away from people and do their own thing.
Yeah.
But the needs of the world have brought them back a little bit. The needs of supplies and life, Murtagh, I think that Thorne would be better off living out in the wild by himself. Murtagh is a human. We are social animals. I don't think that he could really survive forever like that.
Yeah.
And stay sane. Even with Thorne in his head, I feel like there is just something about that, like, person-to-person communication that we all need.
And he says, like, being away from people has, like, made him jumpier and, like, uncomfortable in cities.
And so we start with Murtagh, but we start with Murtagh in a different place where he is far more inquisitive a character than he was in the original books. Partially because he didn't have room to be, but also...
Or a POV.
Because when we meet him in Aragon, he is coming from education that has convinced him of a certain thing about the world, right? He is so sure of himself and of the world that he lives in. He is just knows he doesn't really want to participate in it because Galbatorix obviously has treated him very poorly. This Murtagh has had that world that he was so sure of and so educated in shattered by the events of the books, partially his own actions. And we meet him kind of on the road with Thorne with this idea of trying to figure out what it actually means to be a part of this world now that the regime that he grew up in and didn't know anything else is gone. Yeah. And he goes into a little town.
Yeah.
Yeah, he does. And Thorne is like, don't fuck up.
Pretty much. I love that, like, both Thorne and Saphira to their writers are like, every time you leave me, bad shit happens. Why can't you just fucking keep your nose out of stuff? And yeah. Thematically, Murtagh and Aragon are very similar in that way, and I find that hilarious.
And Thorne and Saphira are very similar in that way, but the relationship between Aragon and Saphira and the relationship between Thorne and Murtagh is so immediately different.
Oh yeah, and I love that.
Yeah.
I love that, like, the writer's bond is not just the same every time.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I love the variety in it. Like, I can imagine that, like, Ormus and Glaedr's relationship was, as well, vastly different.
Yeah.
Even though we don't really get much of an insight into it. But
I also, it made me really want to know what Arya and Fernand's relationship is.
Yeah.
And, like, how do they interact with one another?
Yes.
Through their bond.
I do hope that we get that answer at some point.
Yeah.
When we were talking to Christopher Paolini, he was like, yeah, I'm trying to kind of alternate between doing a Fractalverse book and then an Alagasia book. And he was like, but, like, Murtagh is doing, like, way better than we thought it would.
But I'm making money.
Yeah, well, he was like, if this is what people are more interested in, then, like, that's probably where I'll try and spend a little bit more of my time. Obviously, like, I know he wants to do more Fractalverse stuff, and he's not going to just, like, stop.
Yeah.
But fun little tidbit. Hopefully, maybe we get some more Alagasia stuff before too long.
Blue, thank you for gifting 5 dang membos to the community.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate that. That's very kind of you.
We got some green in this chat.
We'll be able to have subscribers on Twitch again soon as well. We need to stream 5 more times on Twitch.
Right.
And then we'll be able to turn that on.
Yeah, didn't think about that.
Yeah, we're not affiliated over there anymore, but
forgot. Oops.
I didn't forget. I knew. I thought you only had to stream 3 times.
Mm-hmm.
So my goal was to stream 3 times this week, but you actually have to stream 7 times in a month now to affiliate.
Oh, well.
And so yeah, we'll figure it out.
Yeah, that's fine. Just gonna have, like, Twitch on my phone just in case there's anything over there.
Oh, I think have Twitch chat.
Fabu is over there, so
Fabu,
hi,
what's
Fabu.
up, you dang nerd?
Yeah, use that. That's more sturdy. There we go.
There we go. Look, we're figuring it out. We're professionals.
Yeah.
So, I said that I was going to be reading Forkwitch and the Worm before this. Unfortunately, getting all of this set up, that did not happen. So, Klaus, this original section of the book in Sionon takes place... Sionon, right?
Yeah.
Did I make that up?
No, I think that's right.
It's Sionon and Gilead today, right?
Yep, Sionon.
Sionon, in Sionon is a short story in the Fork, the Witch, and the Worm. It's the Fork story, the first one.
Yes.
But in that, it is from Aragon seeing the perspective of Essie through dragons using magic to scry through people's eyes.
Pretty much, yeah.
Cool.
So basically, if you haven't read the short stories, I definitely recommend it. It's very short. It's just a little book. It's very easy read. But like the first story is very much related to Murtagh, and so we are going to talk about it. I don't think it's spoilers to say that it's the exact same scene, just from like a different POV, and like that's cool. Yeah, basically, the Fourth Witch and Worm starts off where Aragon has much paperwork. He's a very busy lad, and is stressed about it. And Saphira's like, "Go take a break," and he's like, "I don't want to," and she was like, "Now," and he's like, "Okay." And he goes to the Eldunari, and they're like, yeah, you know how we kind of like watched you guys in the land, like we kind of like keep abreast of all the things that are going on, so that we don't get surprised by enemies. That's not important. Yeah. So, yeah. Do you want to see some stuff that we see? And so the Eldunari show him from Essie's perspective the same scene that we get from Murtagh's perspective in Murtagh, where Murtagh comes into the inn, grabs himself a table, and Essie comes in very upset, grabs some food, and sits down nearby. And they have a little chat about Essie's problems. They have a cute little therapy session where, you know, she talks about how there's this nasty, mean Jordis,
Sure.
Somewhere along those lines. Very mean lady. She's
There's a lot of mean ladies in this book.
Yeah, she's kind of a bully. And Essie's having a hard time because she thought that Jordis was like gonna be her friend and invited her to her party, and she made Essie embarrass her friend in front of everybody. And I love how like serious Murtagh takes everything that Essie says.
Yeah.
Including that, you know, she's gonna run away. And that she thinks that that's like the only thing that she can do so that her bully stops bullying her. And I thought that this was like, it's such a sweet moment, because the scale of Allegasia is very large, right?
Yeah.
And having like this small moment, obviously it feels so large to Essie, right? This is her entire life. But in the grand scheme of things, you know, it's one of those things when you realize like your problems in relation to the rest of the world are not that crazy most of the time.
Yeah, but they feel like it, right? Like yeah. Essie's problems don't feel any smaller to her than Murtagh's.
No, and Murtagh takes that seriously,
yeah.
Which I love. I love so much, because he does have a line, and I don't remember. I think it's in this half of the book where he says if he ever had children, he would want their formative years to be filled with love.
Yeah.
And that was so sad.
Yeah, well, and this is where the this book and that story blend a little bit, and I think that we get a more fleshed out version of that story. This time it's from Murtagh's point of view. He has gone into Sionon to get this to get information, essentially, from contact
Cervix?
that he's meeting. From Cervix. He has gone into the cervix, and
Jesus Christ.
we get this this beautiful relationship that immediately forms between him and Essie, and we see the beginnings of what happens several times throughout the series, which is that Murtagh's heart is really won over by children. There is a deep hole in him from where Saros, that's it.
There it is.
There's a deep hole in him from where his childhood was taken from him.
Yeah.
This period of his life that is missing, and I think that he immediately, it's so clear that he wants to foster and maintain that for as many other kids as he can.
Yeah.
Because he didn't have it.
Yeah.
And I think that this book is a lot about Murtagh trying to deal with the trauma of his youth.
Yeah.
And his way of, I think, healing that for himself is preserving youth for people who do not need to grow up as quickly as he did.
Yeah.
Even though he does give the girl a fork that can murder people.
Yes. I made a funny TikTok about it.
It is a funny TikTok.
Thank you.
And so we get this sort of first volley of the relationship between Murtagh has between himself and children.
Yeah.
And the lengths that he will go for kids, which is the end of the earth.
Yes.
And the end of his own life.
Will do anything.
Yeah.
To save a child.
He's the most easily manipulatable person if you just have kids involved.
Which is so interesting because it really puts into perspective the ending of Inheritance.
Mm-hmm.
When Galbatorix has those two random children in the room, right? Was that really to sway Aragon, or was that to keep Murtagh in check?
Both.
Both, probably, yeah. Because Galbatorix knows Murtagh's true name, and I'm sure that... Well, did like, until a certain point, right?
I think Murtagh's true name has changed before he enters that room. I think his true name changes in the conversation with Nasuada.
Yes, but he doesn't realize it, like, until the moment he's speaking with Aragon.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Like, it definitely could have changed, like, before that, but there is a moment where he realizes it, and I think that like, doing anything to protect the innocence of a child is part of that, and Thorne is the same. Thorne was a baby.
Literally.
Literal baby that Galbatorix, like, abused. And I love Murtagh, and I think writing a book about him, stellar idea. I think that a lot of people really love his character, and I've been so happy to get insight into it. And as well as Thorne's, like, Thorne is hilarious.
Mm-hmm.
I love him as a character. I just want to, like, hold him and protect him at all costs, even though he's a dragon and he doesn't need to be protected. But yeah, so Essie counts her tale of woe while Murtagh is waiting for Saros, and Saros comes in, and is like, I have this stone that stinks, and Murtagh's like, okay, where'd you get it? And the guy's like, nah, give me all your money. And Murtagh's like, fuck, I definitely should not have been waving around this much gold so flippantly.
It's a shakedown.
Yeah, in Arubane, I'm sure that was not, like, he could flaunt a measure of wealth. Yeah. With a certain safety. Or at least a guise of safety.
But he was always safe, right? Like, Murtagh was never in any real danger, because Galbatorix wanted him to be safe. So I think that,
his mental health was in danger, but, like, he was never gonna die. Most likely, anyways. What?
I don't know what that tripod is for.
Oh, that was for the ring light I brought, or the light that I brought in. Right.
Sorry, no, my brain. So he does engage in this conversation. He keeps Essie for this conversation.
Yeah, he's like, nah, she can hang out.
Which I think is weird, but he makes some poor decisions in this book, so we'll get to those. Main
characters are not perfect.
He, at the beginning of this conversation, he also kind of realizes that he thinks Essie might be being abused by her parents, and he's, like, filing that away for later. Gonna figure that out before I leave.
Yeah, Essie has a burn scar on her arm. Yeah. That she is very reluctant to talk about, and Murtagh thinks that there is more there than she is telling.
And so, they have this very interesting conversation about the warning that it wasn't Glaedr that gave it to them. It was Umaroth gave them in Inheritance about not going to the places where it smells like the burning of the things.
The sulfur brimstone smell. Not a good thing.
How do you feel about Umaroth telling them not to go to the Banff Hot Springs and enjoying the healing waters? Have you ever been in the Banff Hot Springs?
Yeah, but it's not the Banff Hot Springs.
The next day you wake up feeling like $1 billion.
Look, it's not the Banff Hot Springs. That's for sure.
Oh, in this book, no. But, like, if you're avoiding the smell of sulfur, you're avoiding Earth's hot tubs. And, like, that to me is just, I'm like, Umaroth, man, you gotta be more specific. Because there are some wonderful sulfuric
These
baths.
ones are good. These ones are bad.
Yeah, Golden, BC. You're ever driving through the mountains, you stop in Golden, BC, they have some of the best fucking, not a spawn, but, like, oh my god, those hot springs. Yeah. I would live in those hot springs. And my back would feel so great. You know what I need after standing for 4.5 hours of D&D last night? Those fucking hot springs.
Yeah. Are we going to go to the spot today?
I wish we had time.
I know, me too.
Oh.
Yeah, so Umaroth gives this kind of, like, vague warning.
Yeah.
Which means that, like, Umaroth has an idea of what's going on over there.
Mm-hmm.
And
Something
it's like,
bad.
hey, that's dangerous, but we're just going to leave it alone. We're just going to let it be.
I cannot wait to talk about that next week, because I think I know why. I think I know why.
Okay.
Little tease
fun.
for next Tuesday, where I hope to God I have more energy than I have today.
You're crushing it. No, you're crushing it. You're crushing it.
No, I feel like we're doing fine. I just, like, oh my God, last night took it out of me. I will be sitting for relay on Saturday. I will not be standing.
Yeah. Nerdy was like, I think I'm gonna, like, stand for relay too. All 9 hours of it. And I was like, oh. Are you sure about that? He said, yeah.
I thought it was a good idea. It's not.
So we tested it last night, and he will not, in fact, be standing for 9 hours on Saturday.
So Saros brings him the rock that is foretold by Umaroth's warning, and tries to shake him down, and instead Murtagh is like, what if I kill you?
Yeah, what if you fuck right off?
What if we fight, and I win because I am a dragon rider?
Yeah, but
and y'all aren't.
He does try and cast a spell at first.
Yeah.
And Saros is like, you dumbass, I have this skull. And Murtagh's like, okay, well, that's fucking weird. And then he says the name of names. And that still doesn't work, which means that the amulet is enchanted by wordless magic. Very cool.
Yeah.
Because it gives a sense of dread towards, like, the potential villain of the series. As someone who is not afraid to fuck around with magic.
Mm-hmm.
That's scary. That we know what the consequences of that are like, and it's not a good time.
Yeah.
Name of names doesn't work, and he's like, okay, well, fuck. So he picks up a fork and he casts magic on that, and he fights Saros, and I think there's like 4 thugs in the room with a fork.
This, I should have asked, because when the Fourth Witch and the Worm came out, that would have been a little bit after Jason Bourne.
It was 2018.
Oh, so that was a long time after Jason Bourne. But I do wonder if Jason Bourne, the Jason Bourne movies influence this at all. Because there is a very famous fight scene in that where Jason Bourne uses a pen to kill his enemies.
Interesting.
And it's a way of showing off Jason Bourne as being the, like, ultimate threat.
Sure.
Boom. And yes, I am aware that Jason Bourne's real name is David Webb. And when I made that my acting name, I forgot about the Jason Bourne movies, and I named myself after him. Don't worry about it. It's fine. Please don't sue me, Matt Damon. Oops. And so, yeah, we get a great little action sequence that I would love to see in the Disney Plus series, Season 5, directed by, like...
Zack Snyder. It's all slow-mo.
Oh, Zack Snyder would be great.
All
like David Leitch. Just give me a real, like, solid action director doing this in a one-er. You know, none of the chop cut edit bullshit from Wheel of Time. I'm talking about a one-er that looks just great, because watching a man dismember and murder 4 men or 3 men with a fork would be rad.
Fantastic.
While there's just a little girl like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Poor Essie is like, I've never seen death before.
Pretty much, yeah. She's and it's funny because in The Fork, the Witch, and the Worm, we're in her perspective, and she's like, "Oh, the world is a lot scarier than I thought it was." Like, she has this moment where she has never felt unsafe before in her entire life. She talks about the inn that her parents owns as a place of safety. She's seen her dad use his, like, truncheon to, like, you know, fuck up anyone who's trying to stir up trouble. Like she believes her dad is capable of anything, and that nothing bad can happen in this space that she's in. And this is the first real moment of, like, fear that she gets, which you know, influences her decision whether or not to run away, to run from her problems. Yeah.
And this ultimately becomes about Essie, which is what I like about it. I think that if it was just like, hey, look, Murtagh got a clue and beat some guys up, it would be fine.
Got a clue.
But what?
Blue's Clues.
We just got a fork. We just got a fork. We just got a fork. I'll shove it in your eye.
I mean, yeah, that'll do it.
This scene is not ultimately about the fight. It is about Murtagh's relationship with Essie.
Yeah.
And how Murtagh takes the fork, kills the guys, and then makes it about convincing Essie not to run away. And goes and delves into her father's mind and discovers that it was a freak accident with a pot of hot water. There's nothing that you can do about that.
Yeah, because he heals her.
He does make the decision, even though he does. First, he convinces her that scars are nothing to be afraid of.
Yes.
That scars are nothing to like shy away from because they make us who they are.
Yep.
He also is like, she's a girl in the world of fantasy where like getting married will be important to her livelihood.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And like doing this like small service will infinitely change her life for the better.
Yeah.
And he heals her scar. And like he kind of like touches their minds when they realize and obviously he wants to know what happened with it, and they're thinking about the moment that like Essie accidentally bumped into her dad with a boiling pot. She was where she wasn't supposed to be. And like Murtagh feels his guilt for what happened, and like, you know, the not what's the word? Oh, kind of like almost irrational blame that her mom has towards the dad, but like realizes that like it wasn't his fault. It was this horrible accident.
Yeah.
And like just this key moment in this person's life, and how they all experienced it. And he just is able to do some good by healing her, and it's really beautiful. I honestly I love this whole sequence.
It does such a good job of having Murtagh have dialogue with Essie that is about his scar more than hers.
Yeah.
And also the kindness of him taking away her scar.
Yes.
But acknowledging that he doesn't need to get rid of his because he's an adult and he's come to terms with it. But he's trying to save, like I said about preserving childhood, he's trying to save her the years of trying to come to terms with his scar, or with her scar, that he knows he went through to come to terms with his, right?
Well, and there's a moment, and like the problem is I can't remember if it's in this half of or the second half of the book where he remembers getting the scar.
I think that's in half 2.
Okay, so we'll talk about that next week then.
I honestly can't remember.
But like there's a reason that he decides to keep it that is beautiful but heartbreaking. I want to say, Kevin, welcome back to the Nerd Table.
Thank you so much for that.
In 20 dang months.
Popping in to say, I have not read this book yet.
That's okay.
We'll watch after I get done with the book. You guys are awesome. You're awesome.
Thank you.
Kevin L. Stevenson. And also, thank you for that super chat. Arzu,
thank you.
I love that Christopher Paolini came up with 2 different ways of making the name of names completely useless. Wordless magic and if gone, replace ward for that fish. I agree with that. I think that it allows...
Yes!
It allows the books to move forward. I think that one of the things about this series and the difficulty about adapting the future of it and not just writing prequels is that Aragon is kind of, without these like restrictions on the power of the name of names, Aragon is kind of too powerful and Arya is kind of too powerful to write another story about. And so you have to come up with ways around their magic, and I think that Chris Paolini has shown us, they're not too powerful. There are still things that other people can do in this world that they can't just wave away with a single word. And
Murtagh does not have any of the Eldunari anymore.
Yeah.
He does not have his boosted strength and speed.
Yeah.
Like if he were to face off with Aragon right now, Aragon would probably kick his ass. Such is the nature of being like a human rider instead of an elf rider. It just it is what it is. But the name of names is a tricky one, and I love that it was not the be all end all that like Galbatorix like truly believed that it was.
Frost Dragon popped in over on Twitch. Hey, what's up? Also, Jake Tail and Wheels, we have people on Twitch. Restream.
Hi.
What's going on? I just want to say Frost Dragon was an early adopter of the Inheritance series and read it way back while they were still in school. We are talking about the new one, so if you guys haven't read Murtagh yet, this is going to be spoilers for this book. The latest addition from Christopher Paolini to the world of Aragon and Alagazia.
Yes, and once you read the book, go watch our interview with Paolini about it, because we get into some juicy details.
We get this situation where Murtagh leaves this bar having helped Essie, helped the family, given some great advice. Honestly, some really great advice.
Yeah.
That I don't think Aragon could have given. You know, Murtagh giving advice from a place of trauma. I feel like Aragon could give great advice on grief.
Sure. Yes.
But you know, Aragon's childhood wasn't that rough.
And Murtagh also has a moment of acknowledging that what Aragon did with Galbatorix he couldn't do. Like, I love that our characters have very clear strengths and weaknesses and can acknowledge, like, where another might excel over them in certain areas, right?
Yeah, I think Aragon would have just healed the girl and not helped her emotionally come to terms with it. He would have been like, oh, I can just fix that. Here, not a problem.
Yeah.
And I think that Murtagh, in the conversation they have before he fixes her scar, I think he does more for her long term than Aragon could have. And I love the difference between the two boys.
Well, and he does have the moment where he's like, hey, Stigling, do you need the patronage of the Masons Guild to stay open? And he's like, well, no, I guess not. Why? He's like, don't worry about it. And Essie's like, oh, shit.
Gonna beat that girl up. So he leaves and goes back to Thorne.
Well, he's like, hey, maybe give her a good poke with this fork here. Take this magic fork that's
don't
basically
do that, Essie. That might be murder.
He says you can give her a poke with it.
It's a magic fork though that can like pierce flesh easier than a normal fork. I just feel like
I don't know if it's easier or if it's just indestructible, but I who knows.
Yeah, that just makes me nervous.
I don't know the exact spells.
I'm just worried he's going to go back to Cianon in a later book and be like, wait, Essie's in jail? Essie's in fantasy juvie?
Oh my god. Yeah, that
Fantasy
would suck.
Juvie, a TTRPG campaign coming soon.
Oh my god. Isn't that just like Fantasy High,
but with criminals?
With criminals. Love it. Love it.
It's like it's a mixture of
Should that be our
like
Candela Obscura?
Dimension 20's Fantasy High with Arkham Asylum from Batman.
Love it.
Yeah.
Love that.
Honestly, Arkham Asylum would be a fun TTRPG campaign.
Yeah, I haven't played it.
Because Poison Ivy would be a druid. You could like Batman villains. You could pretty easily fit into the stereotypes.
That's fair. Yeah.
Joker is a bard. No, Joker's an artificer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like interesting because like Poison Ivy doesn't like wild shape, right? But you could do something like Circle of Spores where it's more plant focused. I mean, obviously, like the spores and like mold isn't a perfect thematic. It doesn't matter. Sorry, I got excited.
No, but the spores are like because the kiss of the spores is like her kiss. Oh, Mr. Freeze, you could do a warlock and just have his Eldritch Blast be cold. Mm-hmm. There's ways you could do it.
Yeah. No, that'd be fun.
Michaela says, is this the last book of the series? Has been decided what you're doing after. Michaela, we're probably going to read another Chris Paolini book in December. It won't be another Aragon book because there are no more yet.
Well, I don't know if this is technically a part of the Inheritance cycle. So the Inheritance cycle is 4 books.
It is a direct sequel.
And this is, like a sequel to that. So it is part of it, but also not. I don't know how you would classify that.
It is a part of it in the way that the sequel trilogy of Star Wars is a part of the Skywalker saga.
Yeah.
But it's not part of the original trilogy.
Yeah, we have 2 book options that we're thinking of covering next. One is a Paolini book, and the other we'll see.
I think we're gonna do the Paolini book.
Oh, really?
I think we want to read it, right?
Oh, okay. I thought we were leaning towards Fourth Wing.
I don't know. Maybe we'll have a poll.
We could do that. Yeah, we could do that.
We're gonna do that, and then in January we're going to start Cosmere. With Mistborn 1 through 3.
Yeah. That'll be fun. We already have those.
Yeah. We're never going to cover a series that we have read before after this.
Yeah, this was a one-off thing with an Inheritance cycle.
We wanted to try something to see if reading a book from our youth would be fun on the show. Yeah. Didn't really work out the way that we wanted it to.
It does lack the kind of what comes next element that I think was so fun about the Wheel of Time.
Yeah.
So we want to try and recapture that. With some stuff that we have not read.
Yeah, so we're going to be doing Cosmere, because neither of us has ever read a Brandon Sanderson book outside of the 3 Wheel of Time books you wrote at the end there.
Yep, starting in January.
And so we get our boy goes back to Thorne, his big red dragon, who's a little bit bigger now. It's been a year. He's a chonky boy now, and I would love if Thorne ends up being the fat dragon from Dungeons & Dragons, the movie.
Oh my god.
One day, Murtagh's like, We need to put you on a diet, dude.
My
You're
God.
too thick.
Oh my God, I want that plushie so bad.
Right? It's so cute. And Thorne is mad.
Yeah.
Thorne is pissed off because he told Murtagh to do one thing, not get in danger when he can't help. What did Murtagh do? Got in danger. Thorne couldn't help. But Murtagh's reasoning eventually satisfies Thorne, and Thorne is happy about what he did for the kid.
Yeah. And Murtagh's now got this stone and this amulet as like clues to move forward as to what the hell's going on over here. And with these two things, they're like, okay, who do we know that knows things? Who can we talk to that's good at secrets?
Because Saros doesn't have really like the information Murtagh needs. He just has like the beginnings of an idea.
So we did not say that Saros like fully like dies.
Yeah.
And from wounds that like should not have been lethal, but like he does not want to give information, and so he dies before he can really share anything except about the twist your dreams and the dreamers and then dies.
I'm sorry, what does he say?
The dreamers, the twist your dreams,
What's the name in the ancient language for the dreamers? Oh, something dreamer?
Dramer is dream. I don't know what dreamer is.
No, there was a name for their order that they say a lot, but a Weldon Dremer or something like that.
Oh, maybe. Yeah, that's not until the second half of the book, though.
Sure.
I don't think it comes up in this one.
They go to bed, but before they go to bed, they do an interesting little ritual where they speak their true names to each other before bed as a weird reminder of who they are.
I don't think it's that weird. I think when you have been through what they've been through, all they have is who they are and each other. Mm-hmm. And having an understanding of who you are is in and of itself an advantage in survival.
Yeah, I think that we see how it's hard to talk about later in the book.
Yeah,
but we won't.
Yeah.
Their true names. I think that they're just weirdly mentally healthier than me. Because I think that if the last thing that I did before bed each night was speak my flaws, I wouldn't sleep.
And your strengths.
Because I know, but I already spend my nights thinking about every embarrassing thing that's ever happened to me in my life, and it keeps me up. The idea that I would intentionally make myself think about my deeply rooted flaws and then just be able to pass out is impossible. Like, I would speak my flaws into existence, and then I would lay there for 6 hours being like, I am deeply flawed. Oh my God. This is a problem. I think that this is more a me thing than it is a Murtagh thing, where I'm like, guys, if you're gonna fall asleep, you just have to ignore that shit. You can't bring it up.
Well, if you do it every night, I feel like you eventually come to terms with it, right? Because Murtagh was able to come to terms with who he was, flaws and all, and then change that. Like he knows that the opportunity for growth and betterment is there, and I think that's kind of what you have to focus on. Because if you're sitting there just focusing on the bad parts, then that sounds miserable.
Arzu says, I didn't think Nerdy got embarrassed at all. I got a new embarrassment yesterday.
Nerdy
which is
gets
so
embarrassed,
fun.
But he doesn't have shame.
Here's the thing. If it's something that I do intentionally, I don't get embarrassed by it.
Okay.
I don't believe in getting embarrassed by your choices, right? I get embarrassed by, like yesterday, I was in Starbucks yesterday morning. I was picking up an audio cable to make this room work, and I stopped by a Starbucks, and I was like, you know what? It is the Christmas season for me, and the only thing I love about Christmas is the Starbucks peppermint mocha. It is my favorite thing
Only thing I love about Christmas?
Only thing I love about Christmas.
Wow.
And I'm not a big Christ guy, so for me, it's really just about the sweet treats and the music.
Yes.
That's true. No, there's other things I love. There's more.
Just throwing it out there. If we hit one of our charity goals,
it's true.
We're going to do a Christmas caroling stream.
If we hit the $8,000 charity stream goal, Clarissa and I are both going to write Wheel of Time Christmas carols that we will perform live on that stream.
Yes. If you want to know what the goals are, make sure you're following Nerdy Nightly Instagram and Twitter.
Yeah.
Because that's where those are being posted.
They're also already on the Tiltify. If you want to just go to the Tiltify, you can find them there.
Spoilers.
Spoilers. So I'm in the Starbucks, and I get my venti peppermint mocha with coconut milk, no whip, because I am a lactose intolerant boy, and I didn't have any lactate on me. And I got my drink, and the lid wasn't super secure. And I sat down at a table while I was waiting for my breakfast sandwich to finish. And as I put the drink down on the table, it tipped and went and I mean like everywhere. It was just liquid across the entire lobby of the Starbucks. And immediately, the deeply rooted guilt in my core just took over fucking everything. I felt like I was going to die. And so I look up, and this lady who just handed me this drink is just staring at me with like this like horrifying pity in her eyes. And she's like, "Oh, I'll make you another one." And I was like, "You really don't have to. That's my fault. I'll just buy another one. I feel bad." And she's like, "No, that's dumb. I will make you another one." And then I was like, "Can I just have your mop and I will clean this up?" And they were like, "No, you can't." And I was like, "Please, I cannot sit here and watch you clean up the mess that I made. Please let me mop."
That would be weird, actually.
And they did not let me. And so I got my food and my drink, and I left while they cleaned up because I couldn't just sit there and watch them clean up the mess that I made.
That is valid, yeah.
I
hear
felt awful. I felt so bad. And so yeah, I was deeply, deeply embarrassed in that moment. And to the people of the Starbucks in the place that I'm not going to say because it's close to my house, I'm so sorry. I hate creating more work for service workers as waiter myself of many years. It is like it is the worst feeling in the world to me.
Yeah, I was like, we've all been there, you know, at least you weren't an asshole about it and, like, completely ignored it, because we've all seen that person who makes a fucking mess and is just like, and, like, walks out. Like, they don't say anything, they don't even look at it, they just leave, and you're like, bro.
Oh, shit, Connor Crane, they are popping in to say hi. They haven't finished the reading, but they just got out of a job interview. Connor Crane, wish you the best. I hope you get that fucking job,
yeah,
dude.
Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed for you, if it's a job you want. Unless the interview was miserable and you're like, I never want to work for this company.
Yeah, maybe you walked out and we're like, hell no.
But Connor, happy for you. Good luck, buddy.
Thank you.
So we get a little flight sequence. Murtagh and Thorne are, they realize that their friend Jenny might have some information up at, what is her name? It's Officer Jenny, right?
It is not Officer Jenny.
The problem is there's an Officer Jenny in every town, so how does he know which one has the information?
What? Oh my god. This is not Pokemon.
They start flying to Gilead, or Gilead, or... Gilead, which the Gilead of it all is so weird because it is what, I know I've mentioned this on Book Club before, but the, like, connection between that and The Handmaid's Tale makes Gilead... I'm, like, a little horrified by the concept of Gilead.
Well, I've never seen it, so, like, I had no idea.
You've never read the book?
No.
Oh, interesting. It's horrifying. That is something we would not do in book club.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I don't want to talk about it.
Okay. Yeah, no, I don't know it at all.
Our show is too comedic. And that's why, right? If we did like a serious, like we take this shit super seriously kind of book club and we're going to really dig into the themes, I would be willing to have that discussion.
Fair.
The kind of conversations that we have on this show would not lend itself towards a very serious discussion of a book about, you know, the dangers of misogyny and what it can lead to for women's lives.
Fair. Yep, no, that's valid. They're going to see Elena.
Elena! That's her name. It's
Elena.
not Officer Jenny.
No.
And Elena is in Gilead. Elena is the daughter of a shipping magnate that trades in secrets to help her father's shipping business.
Yes, and also has a crush on Murtagh.
Yeah, and Murtagh has reason to believe would have survived the downfall of Galbatorix's empire. Yeah. And so they fly, and Murtagh... This is where we see the intelligence of Murtagh, because one of the things I love about this book is that Christopher... Paolini, can't just call him Chris, but we have met him in a great interview that you should watch on YouTube.
We'll ask if we can call him Chris.
He immediately in this book sets up that Murtagh was very well educated, but not in the ancient language. Yeah. The Galbatorix really wanted to control his ability to use magic as a way of protecting himself.
Yes, yes. He knows more words from Aragon probably than he knows from like Galbatorix, and obviously Aragon taught him his very first words in the ancient language, which is a nice touch. But yeah, Galbatorix deliberately kept him in the dark. He does not know. He doesn't know a lot.
Yeah.
And Galbatorix was also very restrictive in other elements of his education as well, like, histories and stuff. But the ancient language, he just kind of withheld from Murtagh and gave him Eldunari so that he had to rely on like brute strength and like a certain amount of creativity with the words that he did know. Now I'm realizing, remember how Murtagh like heals Thorne with like stones and things like that?
Yep.
It's probably because Murtagh can't do it himself.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
He doesn't know the words for it. And Galbatorix is like, I'm going to give you a thing that'll do it.
Yeah.
And you, like, activate it, but I'm not going to teach you how, because fuck you.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's interesting because I do wonder if Aragon had known that, how different those fights could have been.
Would have been, yeah.
Because Aragon could have won mages' duels with him so quickly just by using the ancient language to overpower him. Because, Murtagh's strength in magic is that he has an indomitable will in his mental barriers.
Yeah.
Right? And so he was able to kind of skirt around not knowing the ancient language by Aragon not being willing to use magic against him out of fear that Murtagh knew more about the ancient language than he did, because he didn't want to use magic until he had dominated Murtagh's mind. And so Murtagh gets this like physical strength and this boost in his like vitality from the Eldunari, but he doesn't actually have the magical ability to fight Aragon. But the way that the magic system works in this world allows for that to be enough of an advantage that Murtagh is able to win. Yeah. And so it's just this was a really clever way of explaining away why Murtagh isn't as powerful as he is, that works within what we saw from Murtagh in the first few books. Yeah. It's just really well done. It's using your magic system to create these interesting situations of the power levels not matching up in different ways, but that not being an advantage because of the fear of the unknown.
Yeah, and we also like do learn that in wizards duels, or whatever Brom calls them, that like you can be super powerful in the ancient language and still lose because like your mental barriers are not as strong, right?
Which becomes really important in the second half of the book. We'll talk about it next week.
Yeah, super cool concepts. Yeah. I like that it's just not reliant on power levels. Yeah. I think that it just makes it like that much more interesting. Yeah, they fly to Gilead.
As they get there, Thorne unfortunately has to hide again. We do, the necessity of Thorne and Murtagh's separation is something that we did not deal with very much in the first 4 books. Yeah. When they were separated, it was more intentional. Except for when Aragon is knocked out in Gilead, weirdly. That's kind of the one time they're separated and it wasn't their choice in that series.
Wait, who? Sorry?
Aragon and Saphira.
Oh, Aragon and Saphira. Sorry.
Well, because one of the things I talked about with Christopher Paolini in that interview, one of the things I brought up was and it's a great clip, it's going to go up on YouTube soon, but he gets really excited, is that Aragon and Murtagh have some very similar experiences. There's some deep parallels. The getting information from a werecat, the fact that going to Gilead is kind of the first time in the book where this like separation between the two of them happens. Yeah. Well, I guess no, it happens in Sunan in this book, but
it's just much more brief.
Yeah. Yeah. We get to Gilead and Thorne has to go hide, and Murtagh heads into the city. On his way in, though, he sees that people are going off the path to go visit this tree near Gilead. And he pulls someone aside and it's like, hey, what the fuck's going on at the tree? And the guy's like, that's where the big old gold dragon's buried, and the elf. You don't know about the big gold dragon and the elf?
Murtagh is like, yep.
Oops.
I know about him. I was there. No, he doesn't say that.
Yeah. Yeah. And he is in this weird position of looking over, and he apologizes as he walks by. But he finds out that the big gold dragon was burnt, was cremated.
Yeah, and they grew a tree over top.
They grew a tree over top because the elves are all about nature.
Yes.
I don't know if you guys knew that, but the elves are...
They live in a big forest.
My question is, even if you burnt him down, right? Yeah. Realistically, how big of a coffin... Like, not a coffin, but how big a hole did they have to dig? I guess you do it with magic.
Yeah.
But even with magic, it's still like, the energy. Like...
Yeah.
Or
they did it by hand. Well, here's the thing. Like, the elves are
It'd be the same amount of energy.
Yeah, but they also, like, if you can accomplish it with magic, it's, like, Runan imparts upon Aragon the journey and not the destination. And I think that for Glaedr, I think that Glaedr would deserve the journey of that burial. I bet they dug it out by hand, and they sung the tree to life. Like, I don't think that they just booped it. Like, I don't know. But that's just me.
I love that. I love the idea that obviously the tree was made with magic, right? To help it grow faster.
Yeah.
So it's clearly not a 1-year-old tree, but the idea that like the elves would take the time to bury Ormus's grave by hand, and Glaedr's obviously. That's a beautiful idea, and I didn't think about it that way, but I hope that is true now.
Yeah, that's in my headcanon. They don't say that, but that's what I imagine.
But I see what you're talking about, right? It goes back to what Runan says when she's teaching Aragon how to make Brissinger. And it really ties in, it would tie into that elvish mentality. Mm-hmm. So then they go into, Murtagh goes into Gilead. He pulls a Matt Coffin, in that he comes up with an elaborate backstory and then they don't ask about it.
And he gets a stick.
And he gets a stick.
Yeah.
Yeah, he really does have some Matt Cawthon in him in this book.
A little bit.
His desire to like take care of children.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're weirdly similar characters.
Yeah, there's a couple parallels. I can see the similarities. I think they would have some interesting conversations.
Yeah.
But yeah, he heads into Gilead and is
they're both interested in dark-skinned leaders of countries.
Yeah,
they have the same taste in women.
Yeah. No, you're not wrong.
They both are.
I do love that. I didn't even realize. So Murtagh is looking for Elena and decides to get a message into the keep castle, the rich part of town. Sees a page boy and is like, here, have some money and I'll give you more if you pass along this message. I bought a bird. Give it to Elena and this letter. And the page boy's like, all right, sure. The
bird is a gift, by the way. It's a beautiful bird.
Sure, yeah.
It's a gift to be like, here, have this pet. Murtagh, what the fuck? Don't give people pets. Pets are not gifts. Pets are a choice that you make to commit to taking care of something.
Okay,
Pets as gifts are a bad idea.
Okay.
In every scenario.
If you don't have 25 servants taking care of you.
Don't give pets as gifts.
I'm just saying.
I don't want a hobby as a gift.
Here's the thing. She's never going to see that bird except when she decides to walk into the room that it's in and, like, listen to it. Like someone else is going to have the responsibility of taking care of that.
I understand what you're saying. And you are not wrong. And also, I am morally opposed to pets as gifts.
Yeah.
I think that it is a bad idea, right?
Mm-hmm.
And granted, I say that when one of
the
greatest gifts... No, but that would be a decision we make together. I'm not going to surprise you with a puppy.
Darn.
You know what I mean? Don't... And look, I will say... I want to say very clearly, one of the best gifts my family ever received was my grandfather, Christmas morning, shows up with a beautiful little boxer. Her name was Zoe. And we fucking loved that dog. My stepdad, at the time, Ken, he's still a great guy. Not my stepdad anymore. Marriage is complicated. He took that puppy into the vet for the first time and was like, hey, this is my new dog that my father bought me and my kids. Can you check it out? And they were like, yeah, sure. So Ken sits down in the lobby. He's sitting there for a few minutes and the police show up. Ken is a police officer. He's a sergeant. And so there go, Ken, why were we called about you? And he goes, I don't know. And the vet comes out and was like, this dog was stolen. And so my stepdad has to call his dad and is like, hey, where did you get this dog? And my grandfather goes, on the side of the road. some guy sold it to me from the back of his van. And so Ken had to buy the dog again because we loved the dog. And so we wanted to keep the dog. And so it's the dog that we bought twice. Don't give pets as gifts. Even if Zoe ended up being one of my best friends and used to sleep at the foot of my bed and I loved her very much. And I'm still, even with that, some of my fondest memories, don't give pets as gifts.
Don't do it. Don't do it, kids.
Yeah.
I love that. I can imagine Ken being like, what?
Yeah.
Just like...
They're like, did you steal this dog? He's like, no, I'm a cop. What are you talking about?
What do you mean? You think I'd be that dumb?
Yeah, that was a fun Christmas Day, Boxing Day into the new year when I was a child.
Yeah.
And Zoe, I miss you. You were a great dog.
Well, Murtagh does get a pet as a gift. But don't worry, it doesn't last very long. Because Murtagh is waiting for that page boy to come back and instead sees a magician of Duvrangargata and a bunch of guards. He's like, oh, fuck. So he kind of sneaks away and some guy comes over and is like, are you Tornak? And Murtagh's like, yes.
Tornak is the name that he's been using in towns.
Yes.
It's the name of
his old teacher.
Yeah.
And then
the one
was
man
his
he
horse.
ever loved.
I love that he's like, I wonder I never found out what happened to Tornak, my horse. Wonder if that'll ever come back.
Isn't he just with the dwarves?
Well, he got taken to Trondheim, yeah. And we'd never heard of him again.
Did he ride out on Tornak with the twins when he was kidnapped?
No.
They went by foot?
Yeah. So we have no idea what happened to the horse.
That horse is living large.
Yeah, I'm sure.
He's living La Vida Loca.
Yeah, I'm sure he's
fine. In Trondheim,
I'm sure he's fine, but I do find it very funny that it was written in.
Actually,
Murtagh is like, I don't know what the fuck happened to that guy.
That horse is dead.
Why?
Because he belonged to the guy who killed their king. If he's still with the dwarves, that horse, they're not taking care of that horse. They don't give a shit.
But it's a beautiful war horse.
I know, but he's still the king killer's horse.
You think that they would be like, we're going to kill this random horse in revenge and he's never going to know that we killed it? What the fuck is the point of that?
I just don't know that anyone would want to keep it. Who would want to keep the horse of the man who killed their king?
It's a good horse.
Yeah, but that's bad juju.
Look, if you hypothetically had a friend or a relative who turned out to be a murderer, but they also had a dog, wouldn't you keep that dog and take care of it because it's not the dog's fault?
But I wouldn't want to look at the dog because it would remind me of the man who killed the king.
Okay, I guess.
I would maybe pawn it off on somebody else. I'm not going to murder the dog, but I'm also I'm not keeping that dog.
So they sold Tornak then to someone in Serta.
Sure.
Yeah. Tornak is not dead and murdered by the hands of the dwarves.
I don't think the dwarves would keep it.
They sold him to King Orin. One of King Orin's people.
Shafika says sometimes Murtagh comes across as too sure of himself, which gets him in trouble, that part of his journey seems to be to recognize and improve. Yeah, I think that hopefully he learned from this book.
Well, and
we'll talk about it next
week. I think that Aragon goes through a very similar journey, which is why I love the two of these. I love the thematic similarities between the Inheritance Cycle and the Murtagh book. I think it's really, really well done and thought out. And I love that. Yeah, I love how excited Paolini got when you brought that up. He's like, "Thank you for noticing that." I love that. He got very excited.
So, this man leads Murtagh on a merry little runaway from the Duvrangargata and the city guard down a tunnel that leads into the underneath of the keep, and he's like, "Where am I going?"
Yeah, he's like, "What the fuck is going on here?"
And he's like, "The lady will see you now." And Murtagh's like, "Elena?" And then a cat turns around and is like, "No, me, motherfucker." And so Candelabra is there, and
what? Candelabra?
The cat.
No, that's not her name.
Yeah, it's Candelabra. So Candelabra, the werecat, is just consumed the pet that Murtagh got for Elena, which is rude. That was a gift for somebody.
Carabel, that's it.
Candelabra. Carabel consumes Murtagh's gift. And as morally opposed as I am to giving pets as gifts,
give people food as gifts.
But stealing a gift from somebody else is worse. Carabel here straight up just steals a gift.
Yeah. Yeah, she doesn't give a fuck. She's a werecat. They have different rules.
Yeah, it's true.
They're playing a whole other ball game.
And so Carabel is like, look, Elena doesn't know shit. I promise you. And if she does, I'll find out for you. You're not going to get to it without people finding out that Murtagh Dragon Rider's here. What if you do me a little favor? And Murtagh's like, what's the favor? And she's like, there's a kid in danger. And he's like, oh, fuck.
He's like, you found my weakness.
Ah, okay. I'm in. It's a kid.
Yeah.
God damn it, you're manipulating me. And she's like, I'm not really manipulating you. There legitimately is. He's like, God, this is such a manipulation. And I'm like, kind of, but also there is actually a child in danger.
And yeah. So some werecats younglings have been stolen, and the most recent one, they believe to still be in the city. Mm-hmm. They like sniffed her out, but she's behind a door that the werecats cannot get into.
And so we find out that much like The Witcher 3, this side quest comes in 3 sections.
Hell yeah!
First, you have to get the scale.
Yeah.
Because second, you have to kill the fish. The fish that will only come if you use the scale of a dragon.
But only Glaedr's scale.
And not Thorne's scale, because that would be too easy. And less emotionally traumatic.
I think Thorne would murder Murtagh before giving over one of his scales. Like, he
Murtagh
literally...
almost dies getting using Glaedr's scale, so...
Sure, I just mean that, like, Thorne literally is like, well, it's not my scale. Like, he's like, I don't give a fuck what you do to it as long as it's not my scale. Anyone else, I don't give a fuck. But mine, no. Like,
okay, so we have to get the scale to attract the fish.
Yes.
To kill the fish, to take to Reno, so that Reno will allow him into Reno's company so that he can go into the basement of Reno's barracks.
Yeah.
Or...
Is that his name? I don't even...
Hear me out.
Captain Wren.
Reno, Nevada. Reno 911. Great show. Or Murtagh could have just snuck in to the barracks in the middle of the night using magic.
I mean...
He is a member of that guard for like 7 hours.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, the man has magic.
Yeah. I think it's more just that, like, Murtagh will take the more difficult path if it puts less people in danger.
Oh, and it's more narratively interesting.
Yeah.
1,000%. I totally get that. But ultimately, the plan is sneak in the middle of the night.
Yes. But, like, in Witcher, you can't just go and sneak in the middle of the night. You have to do the things in the order. Yeah.
And I'm glad for it because it makes this interesting. And we get, like, Murtagh has to emotionally traumatize himself by stealing his Glaedr scale. And he has to almost die killing Muckmaw, the giant sturgeon. And we get to learn about Durza. Like, there's reasons why it's fun. But ultimately, his plan comes down to, well, I snuck in the middle of the night.
Yeah, pretty much. So he goes to the tree to get the scale. And it's like, well, they fucking burnt the dragon, so I can't go digging around. There's literally, like, tons of people here, like, standing vigil. Mm-hmm. And he decides to use the spell that Aragorn used in the desert to bring the water up from the
Even
earth.
though he's complaining about being thirsty and not knowing how to get clean water, and he uses the spell that Aragorn used 3 books ago to get clean water for them to drink in the desert.
That's true.
This drove me a little bit crazy, because he's, like, complaining about being thirsty this whole time. Mm-hmm. Meanwhile, he's like, all right, I gotta use this spell to get the water up out of the ground. And I was like, Murtagh, why do you know this spell?
To be fair, it's not in the same day, so we just didn't think of it.
Murtagh, why do you know this spell? What did you use it for when you learned this spell? For the love of God, stop complaining about being thirsty. You know why you used this spell.
Yeah.
Drove me fucking insane.
So he uses the spell to draw water from the ground and hopefully, like, catch a scale on the way up.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Very cool. Loved that. While he's casting this spell, some fucking guy comes over and starts chatting away. We've all been there where you're like, you know, off in your own brain, and someone comes over and they want to have a conversation with you that you didn't want to have.
It's called marriage.
Wow. Okay, well, I see how it is.
How often do you or I come interrupt the other person with a conversation that we're like, sorry, what do you want to talk about right now?
Yeah, it's mostly like, so we have to do this thing.
Yeah.
We're in a bit of a time crunch. We're always on a time crunch.
Does he fight the goat before or after this? I love that that's a sentence I can ask.
The goat.
Is that before or after the scale?
Oh, I think it's before. Because it's like, oh, no, it's after.
It's after.
Because he gets the scale, and then he, like, goes and sleeps for the night. So he goes to get the scale, and some guy comes over and is like, yeah, my dead son joined the Varden. Murtagh's like, that's rough, buddy. I'm so sorry.
And then he's like, my dead son died on the burning plains.
Yeah. And then
I might have been in charge of that fight.
And Murtagh is like, yeah, I lost somebody too. And he's like, yeah, definitely not as bad as, like, me, but we're not going to compare grief because that's weird. Like, that's basically how that conversation...
It is what he says.
Yeah.
It's so weird. This guy's the worst. Oh my god.
He's like, he sees Murtagh over there and is like, I've never seen this guy here before. Like, he probably just wants a friend. Murtagh does not, in fact, want a friend.
No, it is before.
Tries.
The goat is before this. Because it's while he sleeps while he's waiting for the elves to leave the tree.
No, he sleeps while he's recovering because Murtagh is like, you need to fucking go to bed. Get some goddamn sleep before we go get Mukma. Because he's exhausted.
But then why isn't he with Thorne?
Because Thorne won't go in the trees.
Oh, that's right. Like, okay.
Thorne is in the clearing, and Murtagh... Because Thorne is like, do you want me to eat him?
Right, because Thorne is there, but he's... Yeah,
Murtagh's like, no.
Because we get the first hint of Thorne's, like, traumatic and awful claustrophobia that hurt bad.
It hurt real bad.
That was the hardest part to read about this whole book. Honestly. Was that poor dragon's claustrophobia.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I might be wrong, but I'm almost positive that it is Thorne being like, fuck you, you need some rest. So he goes to sleep before they go get Mukma.
So he's getting the scale because, much like Into the Woods, he needs 3 things in order to finish the side quest.
To see, to sell, to get, to give, to make, to lift, to go to the festival. Into the woods.
The hair is yellow as silk. Hair is yellow as corn.
Yeah.
The cow is white as silk.
Milk. Yeah.
What's the third thing? The shoe?
No, not the shoe. No.
Yeah, it's the shoe is clear as...
No, there is no shoe. Oh my god, I did this show.
The hair of the cow, what's the third thing?
Oh my god, no.
Is it not Cinderella's shoe?
No, it's not the shoe.
I've never done Into the Woods.
Is it the bean? No, the egg, the egg, the goose.
Sorry, Rob, my music theater history teacher. I don't know.
I did this show. The cow is white as milk.
The hair is yellow as corn.
Oh my god. Ah! I need to Google this because I'm going to lose my fucking mind.
Into the woods.
Into the woods and out of the woods.
And home before. There are giants in the sky.
What are the 3
This is such bad content.
To the woods. What are the 3 things? Oh, wait, what are the 4 things? Cow is white as milk, the cape is red as blood, the hair is yellow as corn, the slipper is pure as gold. Yeah,
it is the fucking slipper.
I forgot about the slipper. Because I was like, there's no glass, but they're not glass slippers. That's why.
Ellen knows. What's up, Shaylish?
Oh, hi.
Yo, Ellen S. Shaylish, she was in this seat yesterday.
Hilarious.
Or in that seat. She was in that seat yesterday,
yes.
playing Dungeons & Dragons.
Yes.
She was very funny. She made me cry.
I was
tears of laughter.
Cackling.
Yeah.
Like, actually cackling. Yeah.
Honestly.
Can't believe I forgot.
Shush. Literally anytime you want to play D&D, if you can make me laugh like that.
Get in here. Let's go.
Get over here.
Get over here.
Where were we? Oh, yeah, so he's... Murtagh is mid-conversation. Wow, the tangents today have been wild.
It's great.
It's been story time with Nerdy. We're live on Twitch.
I know, it's crazy.
This is nuts. Truly, truly nuts. Chavernis. Yeah.
Chavernis, that is a permanent part of my vocabulary now. I hope you realize
Chavernis.
Yeah.
God damn it. Woo! So Murtagh's trying to pull the glittery golden scale up to use as a lure.
Yes.
That's what fishing people do.
Yeah,
and
it's a lure. It's bait.
It really just seems like if he had just gotten in the water, the fish would have attacked him. The fish seems hyper aggressive.
Yeah.
I also like that they're like, well, you need to like lure the fish out because how can you tell his brain is different from other brains? And then when Murtagh meets Mukma, he's like, oh, he's a giant magical thing.
Ellen says we are in the D&D category over on Twitch, so thank you for that. Thank you for letting us know. We don't do book club from this location. Usually we are at our computer, but we don't have computer here. Computer over there. I appreciate you letting us know. Yeah. Mukma is kind of an asshole, but Yes, Murtagh does get bitten by a goat. He's like having a nightmare, and a goat comes over and bites him, and Thorne is like, can I eat it? And Murtagh is like, no, don't worry about it. And then they go to the lake to lure Mukma. Mukma, an asshole. Big ass asshole fish. Oh no, right. And they try and find Mukma. They like fly around with the scale. It's not working. They can't find Mukma. So Murtagh goes to the back into Gilead and tries to find people to talk to about it. So he goes to this seedy place. Oh wow, that's a good look. I just
broke the stream. Sorry.
Oh no. Oh well, you really broke the stream.
It's fine. Keep talking.
Great. I love that for me. It's fine. Yeah, so, Murtagh goes and gets some information from some fishermen. They tell him the story of Mukma, about how these little boys, were, fishing, caught some fish, and decided to let them, like, die very slow, painful deaths to see which one could last the longest. And then Durza walks on by and is like, yeah, let's see which one we want, who's gonna last the longest. Smart. Good call.
Donate.
Good call. You think you're too tall now? You're gonna have to you're gonna have to slouch a teeny bit. It's fine. It's all good. Durza cast some spells on a sturgeon and turned it into Mukma, who has been terrorizing Gilead for the last, 60 years or something. Crazy. So, Murtagh learns about Mukma, and he's like, if I were to fish and avoid Mukma, where would I go? And they're like, just don't go over this. He's there a lot of times. Just don't go over this place. And Murtagh's like, thank you kindly.
This is also where Murtagh uses a different name than Tornak for the first time, because he realizes that, like, oh shit, if the werecats know who Tornak is, because Candelabra says, like, the werecats are aware of Tornak, and he's like, right, the guy who trained me was the famous sword trainer boy from fucking Galbatorix's.
Yeah.
Maybe I should think this through.
Yeah, maybe not the best code name.
Oops.
Oopsie. So yeah, they go to try and find Mukma.
I also love that, like, people are so suspicious in this town that he has to buy the entire bar around. Granted, it's like 10 coppers to buy the whole bar around. But people are like, we don't want to tell you anything more, strange dude. And he's like, I'm around for the bar. And they're like, that's not suspicious. All right, I'll tell you more for free booze.
Well, yeah, because the guy was about to, like, leave and go home to, like, his wife.
Yeah.
And then he's like, but another drink. And he's like, I guess I'm an alcoholic and I can't say no.
I'm just a girl who can't say no. I'm in a terrible fix.
If you've never seen Oklahoma, that makes no sense. And sorry, then this is where Thorne forces them to go to sleep. So they can be well rested. Because it was, like, the middle of the night.
In the middle of the night.
So they go to the
lake.
I
got chewed on by a goat.
And they can't sense
No, we can't skip over the goat. The goat attacks. Talked about the goat. The goat attacks, and it is fucking hilarious. If you didn't listen to the audiobook, the goat attack.
Hilarious.
Audiobook dude, I should know your name. I'm sorry.
Gerard Doyle.
Gerard Doyle. The goat noises, fucking perfection.
Well done. Yeah, listen to the audiobook.
So funny.
It's great.
Yeah, this rocked as an audiobook moment.
The one thing that was weird is that audiobook Saphira in Fork the Witch and the Worm sounds different than, like, the series.
Is Gerard Doyle?
Yeah. Yeah,
maybe her voice has changed as she gets older.
Maybe. It's like higher. It's very funny. Anyways.
All right.
So they go to try and find Mukma. Mukma's mind can't be felt.
Yeah.
And Mukma is able to surprise them.
Well, actually, we also learn from when he's in the town learning about Mukma, we learned the story that a weird red-haired man.
Yeah, I already.
Randall Thor made Mukma.
Yeah, we already went over that.
Sorry, I was working.
I know.
All right. Well, it was Durza. It was cool.
Yeah, Durza did some shenanigans on Mukma.
Dang diddly Durza did it. And so it's a shade creature.
Yeah, gross. That's not going to be dangerous at all. So yeah, Murtagh goes fishing. And they find Mukma. Mukma surprises the shit out of them and, like, fucks them up real bad.
Yeah, like, they almost lose this fight.
I
know! Thorne gets a little bit fucked up. Yeah. And Murtagh almost dies.
Yeah, Mukma fully, like, drags Murtagh to the bottom of the fucking lake. And Murtagh only survives because he finds a, like, femur and stabs it through Mukma's brain.
Yeah, in the process, he loses his dagger, and so
Yeah.
he is now completely weaponless.
Yeah, 'cause he hasn't been taking Zarok with him because it's
Yeah.
too recognizable.
Because it is a bright red sword.
Yeah, you notice that shit. You know what I'm saying?
And we get this interesting bit where he finally stabs it through the brain. He kills Mukma.
Yeah.
Gets it back up on the shore, and then he dives back down to try and find his stuff. And what he finds is the corpses of the men he led into battle.
An elephant graveyard.
Yeah, but it's the corpses of the men he led into battle at Gilead.
Yes,
And he's
who he
overcome with this
abandoned.
absolutely fascinating like grief over having left them to die here in a battle that was lost, even though, Galbatorix would have seen it as a win because Glaedr and Ormus are dead.
Yeah.
But this overriding sense of guilt that just overtakes him. And Thorne is trying to, like, calm him down. Like, you're not responsible for their deaths.
Yeah.
What would you have had us do? Galbatorix took over your body.
Yeah.
Like,
but
it's...
Murtagh had the experience of, like, getting to know them.
Yeah.
And, like, breaking bread with these people that relied on him, and he left them to the mercy of the elves.
Shafika brings up was the if statements magic thing before this. It is around this time that the way that he realizes that Mukma is getting the wards replaced is that there's if this magic ends,
If clause.
restart the ward, right?
Yeah, the if clause.
The if clause. And the implications of that for Murtagh are fascinating. Like, what can I do with if then? A musical starring Idina Menzel that didn't run very long, but had its fans.
Never saw it.
It's just a factual statement.
Yeah.
If then, not on Broadway anymore.
I thought it was if/then. Like, I don't.
It is if/then.
Yeah.
But everyone just called it
says
if then.
Sure, fair enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like how no one calls it Book of Mormon. Everyone just calls it Mormon.
Nobody calls
Everyone in New York just calls it Mormon. And did you see Mormon last night?
No, I've never.
Well.
No.
You-
The one that I know, the abbreviation is How to Succeed. Like, nobody says How to Succeed in business without really trying.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. That one's How to Succeed, but I've never heard Book of Mormon. It's just
Everyone just calls it Mormon.
All right.
What are there any others that are shortened?
Oh, I'm sure there's probably tons. Phantom.
Yeah, no one says Phantom
Which
of the
is
Opera. Everyone
hilarious
just says Phantom.
because Phantom is a different musical.
Well, there's two Phantom of the Operas.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. So,
There's Phantom,
there's Phantom of the Opera, and there's Phantom of the Opera, but we just call it Phantom.
Yeah.
Love that.
There's
for
also
us.
like 7 Cinderellas.
True.
Yeah.
Bad Cinderella.
I'm a bad Cinderella.
Anyways, moving on.
Mukma's dead. He decapitates the fish, gives the rest of the fish to some fishermen who row by, which is a kind gift, maybe, unless the magic makes that meat not edible. I would have been a little bit concerned. I just wouldn't feed people shade magic fish.
Yeah, but like, does the magic I don't know, because it grew. Yeah, I didn't.
I just wouldn't trust it. If you told me, like, here's an apple, the evil witch made it, but the evil witch is dead now, I'd be like, I'm still gonna not eat that apple.
Yeah, I'm okay. I think I'm all right.
Yeah.
So he's like, I gotta wait until morning when the barracks are open, and then he drags Mukma's head to see Captain Wren. And it's like, I killed Mukma, and they're like, oh shit, yeah, that's Mukma.
It's fucking Mukma.
And the one guy's like, look, the guy doesn't want any green recruits right now, and the other guy's like, yeah, but like, it's Mukma.
He killed fucking Mukma.
So Murtagh
Mukma
gets
ate my
to
mom.
spar with the armsman, with one of the trainer. I don't know.
Yeah.
What's he called? Yeah, with the sword guy.
But he gets a spear instead.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. They train a little bit with the spear, and Murtagh's like, I'm better with the sword, and he's like, all right, bet. So they fight a little bit.
But I like this. I like this because we're taking away from Murtagh's like being a rider here.
Yeah.
And like with a weapon that he is not that trained in.
Yeah.
Because he hasn't had time to train in all of the weapon styles. One day he probably will. He's going to live to be 1,000. But for now, he's like, oh, I'm clumsy with this thing.
Yeah.
Even with the additional strength that comes from being a rider, that strength is what is allowing me to hold my own in this fight.
Yeah.
But I don't know what I'm doing. Like, I'm just fucking swinging this thing like a fucking baseball bat. And then when he gets the sword, he shows just how good he is.
Yes.
But you know, it is allowing for this character to not be perfect, right?
Yeah.
He doesn't just pick up a quarterstaff and beat the shit out of the 2 best swordsmen in the camp.
Yeah, of course. Because that would be really silly.
That would be silly, right?
Yeah.
If he had just beaten this guy up with a weapon he has, like, used years ago but hasn't picked up in a while, and he just were to beat up the 2 best fighters that this guy has, you would be like, this is unrealistic. Why does anyone like this book?
Super weird, yeah. But hey,
but
here
I'm
we
glad,
are.
like, fantasy writers are smarter than that, and they don't just throw that in.
You're such a dick.
And you know, he is at full strength. It's not like he is like emaciated and unfed and sick when he picks up a quarterstaff and just beats up the 2 well-fed best swordsmen in the country.
In the world, yeah. Yeah, crazy.
Yeah.
Super crazy. Yeah, Murtagh.
But so Murtagh is kind of like
impressive.
Matt Cawthon in some ways.
So the guy's like, wow, yeah, you're pretty good. Let's go talk to Captain Wren. And Captain Wren is like, so you wanna join up? And Murtagh's like, yeah, yeah, I'm here to do some good.
But he's
stuff.
also like, yeah, I want to join up, but also like, what the fuck is up with these masks?
Yeah, and Captain Wren is like, oh my god, I'm so glad you asked. And he like puts it on. And he's like, woo.
And so he has this, I think it's a bear mask and a wolf mask. And he puts it on, and suddenly he's like, oh shit. That's scary. Why are you scary now? What sorcery is this?
It like it imbues the aura of the animal or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Very cool. Very interesting magic. That it's like these like old masks. Definitely not gonna be important later.
They don't come back.
They never come back. It's fine. And so Murtagh swears to serve Nasawada and the company and follow orders.
Which he regrets. Like, I like that Murtagh is a character who is like, fuck, I have to do this, but I really don't want to break oaths. I don't want to be an oath breaker.
But it's part of my true name, so...
Yeah, it is hard for him to make this commitment because of that, right? Because of the idea of like, fuck, like... I'm becoming a betrayer again, and it's the thing that he doesn't want to be. A lot of this book is about Murtagh having to redo the mistakes that he doesn't want to redo in order to make the world a better place, and realizing that like it is complicated to do right by the world.
Yeah.
And you don't always get to do it on your own terms.
Yep.
And there's a lot of elements of this book that are Murtagh having to kind of bend the promises that he's made to himself about how he's going to act from now on. About not leaving Thorne behind, about not breaking oaths anymore, about not lying. You know, he has to bend those things in order to do the right thing. And this book is a lot about him realizing that even though Galbatorix is gone, life is still complicated for someone with as much power as he has.
Yes, absolutely. He can't just kind of do whatever he wants. That fucking sucks. So he swears full well knowing that those oaths are going to be broken. And he gets a little buddy. He gets like a camp buddy.
Esvar,
who
best part of the whole book. I fucking love Esvar.
Shows him around and won't shut the fuck up.
I've been here 2 months. It's been the best 2 months of my fucking life. Dude, we get to like help people and I get paid and I can give that money to my sister. Oh my god, my family are eating. We might afford for them to eat enough food so that they don't look sickly when men come over, and then men will want to marry them. I'm a good dude. I'm just a good dude. I've never done anything wrong, and you're never gonna betray me, right, Murtagh?
You saw Aragon and Saphira. You were on the fight where the Aragon and the Saphira were. Wow, that's really cool. Did you see them?
He's just the sweetest, bestest little boy.
I know. I felt so bad when he came back, because he does come back. Murtagh goes through the day, acting his part, and they finally go to bed in the barracks, where the door is that he needs to get behind.
Yeah.
And he sneaks through. There's like a guard there, and he's like, I know that the soldiers have wards because Captain Wren asked me if I had any wards and made sure that I would get some put on me tomorrow from Tuvrengar Goddess. So this guy definitely's got to have some kind of wards on him, right? Stands to reason. So he's like, what if I, like, instead of hurting him, I put him to sleep? That's a pretty big flaw in your wards there, because it works.
Yeah.
Just knocked him right out. So Murtagh is able to like sneak through, and there's like a series of chambers with doors.
Yeah.
Fascinating. We find that golden lily.
Yeah.
We find this like kind of like garden-y room. There's a Razak egg.
There's Venus flytrap.
A Venus flytrap. He's like, wow, I've never seen that kind of thing before. That's crazy.
Yeah.
What else was in there?
The Razak egg is the big one because he doesn't know what it is.
The Razak
but he
egg
finds a black and blue egg.
And the yellow diamond.
What?
It's from Nagling, right?
No.
Obviously. Yeah. Because Oramus's sword fell out of his grasp above Gilead.
Yeah, but it's not perfect enough. And it doesn't have the elvish protections on it that the ruby in Zarok has.
No, it's just so full. Because there's a trap door with a bunch of gems. And he's like, I'm going to try and drain those gems into this gem. But the yellow diamond almost explodes because it's so full. Because Oramus and Glaedr have been storing all of their energy and the energy of other elves into it has to be Nagling.
I don't think it's Nagling because I don't think that for a number of reasons. One,
okay.
I don't think that Galbatorix would have allowed that sword to be broken apart. I don't think Galbatorix would have left that sword behind. I think that Galbatorix would have kept that sword. I think that Nagling was probably among the swords recovered from Galbatorix's treasure room.
No, they would have mentioned it. They absolutely would have named it. If there's no way. Nagling got lost because they were flying.
Okay, but if it got lost, who broke it?
I mean, they have these like wordless magic amulets and like magic
but then
doors.
Nagling was taken to Bayshell, and then Bayshell broke it, and then they took the yellow diamond back to.
I don't know. That was my immediate first thought because I was like, it's a yellow diamond in Gilead.
I think that it's an
an
imperfect diamond, which is why it gets too hot when he uses it.
Maybe.
I don't think it can possibly be from
full.
Nagling.
I thought it was like too full.
I don't know. I don't think I think that in order for it to be Nagling, then then somebody would have to be powerful enough to break apart a rider sword, which would take a level of magic that like who has that level of magic in Gilead, that close to Dueldenvarden, right? Unless there's like an evil elf that broke apart Nagling, but then where's the rest of Runon's blade? You know what I mean? Like in order for it to be Nagling's gem. A lot would have to happen, and I'm pretty sure he talks about how the diamond isn't as perfect as the ruby in Zarok is.
He says it's not as big. I don't know, and you know what? We should have asked Christopher in our interview.
Yeah. He might not have answered.
Because I was 100% sure that it was, and now I'm like, well, yeah, I don't know who broke it apart, so I don't know. But my first immediate thought is that was Nagling's gem, but who knows?
It's an interesting idea. I just, for me, like, the idea that someone could have broken Nagling apart seems almost impossible. Mm-hmm. Like, Bayshell maybe could have done it.
Yeah. No, I hear you.
Galbatorix could have done it, maybe.
Yeah.
But even Galbatorix to me is maybe he could have done it.
Yeah.
And then where's the rest of the sword? Like, and why would you break apart that sword?
It's a good question.
Because you have to do it intentionally. There's no way it accidentally broke. So if it is Nagling's diamond...
It did fall from thousands of kilometers in the sky, but yeah.
So, like, it's an indestructible blade. It's got... I think that you could fucking throw one of Runon's swords off of a dragon at any height, down the spire, and you would find it at the bottom. It would look pristine.
Maybe, yeah. I'm going to tweet Adam. Mm-hmm. I'm going to tweet at Paolini and ask, because I need to know.
Yeah. We'll text him.
Yeah, sure, because I have his number.
Did he not give you his number?
No.
He gave me his number.
Wait, what?
No, he didn't.
I was like, what? The fuck? No.
Yeah, so we find all the cool shit. There's a door, like you said, with wards that he drains, and fills up the yellow diamond and makes it hot to the touch.
Yeah.
And he goes through that door. Yeah, I know, because Brahm's sword holds, like, 15 years worth of Brahm putting all of his energy into it.
You mean his ring?
His ring.
Aaron.
I don't think that a rider's sword would be hot to the touch from whatever the amount of energy in that door is.
But Glaedr and Oramus said that they spent the last 100 years funneling every iota of extra energy plus the energy from the elves that they had to spare.
Right, so I don't think that door would have enough energy in it to compare to that. Like, I don't think that, like... I think that would be a negligible addition to what is already there. in order to affect the gem of a rider sword.
Maybe.
Otherwise this door has like the energy of what? Like a city? Did they drain a city's life force? Is this fucking like Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood?
I just figured that the sword was already like full when they went into battle, because like, you know, they have to have some kind of limit on them. But I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either. That's tough. That's really tough.
Yeah, I'm very curious. Anyways, moving on.
He goes to the final door.
There's a door as well with one of those mask impressions in it, and he tries to like use wood to like mold a key kind of thing.
Yeah.
But he breaks the door. He thrice does a little too hard.
That's what she said.
Yeah. Thank you for that. That's a t-shirt. Thrice did a little too hard.
This is my thrice to trap.
Oh my god. So he finds a room with a cage and a blanket in it, and nothing else, and is like, well, that's weird. Can't feel any mind presences.
I love that the kid doesn't leave immediately, but like,
attacks him.
Waits for,
Silna?
but also like Silna, like he's like looking around for a bit, and it's not until he turns to leave that Silna attacks.
Yeah,
I would have
Silna's like, fuck you.
If my plan was to attack, I would have been like, when the door opens, and then start running.
Yeah.
But she could have snuck out, and Murtagh would have never fucking noticed. She could have just dipped.
She's also a baby.
But she goes at his face.
Oh yeah, she goes to fuck him up. Guys, don't fuck with the weird cats. They will come for you. Yeah, even the little weird cats.
Unless you're Angela, then you can cheap them. But
yeah, do whatever you want, I guess. But he's like, Silna, please, I am here to help you. Stop that. And he like is like holding her, and she does not like that. So he like lets her go and is like, can we work together, please? I'm trying to like get you out of here. So they go to leave, and our fucking boy Esvar is like, yeah, I heard some stuff, so I went and got the guard, and super weird. We're gonna go check out what's down here. The Ranger God is there. Esvar's there. Some
Poor
other
Esvar, man. This just broke my heart.
Yeah.
Because he really was like, he just wanted a friend.
Yeah.
That's it. It's all he wanted was just a friend.
He wanted a friend, and he wanted like some cause that he believed was good to devote himself to.
Yeah.
And to, you know, make money for his family. Like, and Murtagh just, like, the betrayal in his eyes is
pretty harsh.
So heartbreaking. And Murtagh's like, no, like, you really don't understand the situation here. Yeah.
And he doesn't, right? Like,
no.
It is fair to say that he doesn't.
Yeah.
Reno, Nevada is not a good dude.
So they fight. He fucks up the other guards. He doesn't kill them.
No.
And then...
Because he knows they're not bad.
Yeah.
Or, well, he hopes they're not bad.
Yeah. And then he fights the magician, overwhelms him, and the magician passes out.
Mm-hmm.
The magician gets so fucking scared, he literally faints. He fights Esvar and probably fatally stabs him, but then heals him before leaving.
Yeah.
And he's like, hey, yeah, sorry about it. You have no idea what you've gotten into. And apparently neither do I. So him and Silna run off through the tunnels. They're like running around underground Gilead like all night long.
Because every city in Allegasia has an underground tunnel system.
Yeah, pretty much.
Drosleona.
Gilead. Absolutely. The big ones, 100,000%. Urbane had secret tunnels and doors.
Secret tunnel!
Exactly.
Through the mountain.
When they finally get out of the tunnels, Silna fucks off.
Yeah.
She fully runs away, and Murtagh is like, well, I better still get the information that I want, because I held my end of the bargain. It's not my fault Silna's a fucking
I need to take
idiot.
you to Candelabra!
Yeah. So he goes back to Candela Obscura, and is like...
If you donate a certain... one of our goals is that next year I'm going to run a 3-part Candela Obscura Creepy.
3-part. We'll see.
No, it'll be 3 parts.
I think so, yeah.
I have an idea for it, so it's going to be 3 parts.
Okay.
There's a part 1, a part 2, a part 3. It'll be fun. We'll create our own little circle, and we'll do a little Candela Obscura stream here on the Nerdy Nightly. So donate here at the link in the chat.
Yeah, command donate and command charity will both bring up those links if you do want them.
Oh, do they both?
Yeah.
Great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah. So we get
He goes back to Carabel, and Silna is there. Like, he does notice that there's a lot of guards running around. You know, Gilead.
They're looking for him.
Yeah, they're looking for him.
Yeah, Command Charity didn't do any. Oh no, it did.
Yeah, it just takes a second. Yeah, it's slow. The bot sleepy. But they go back to Carabel, and Silna is there. We find out that Silna is Carabel's daughter. And that she's like, if you hadn't have shown up, we would have taken all the fucking weircats and we would have forced our way in there because fuck these guys for taking our children. And fair. You know what? Fair.
Fair. Look.
Fair. So Murtagh showing up was a blessing. Yeah. They exchange information. They exchange secrets. They bargain. He's like, yeah, there was an egg. She's like, yep, that's a Razak egg. Definitely very no good. Very bad, no good. And also reveals that the member of Duvrengagada that fainted had one of those amulets. The bird amulets around his neck. Which she didn't know. That's a very bad sign. Because those amulets are bad news. And she tells Murtagh about Bashel.
Bashel.
Yeah, and the Dreamers. Up in the north. Somewhere.
Nalgorgoth.
Yeah, you know, this is it's probably not a good time. Carabel doesn't know everything, but she knows enough that it's not a good time.
Not a good time. That's fair. You know what? Not a good time.
Not a good time. A long time, but not a good time. Is there any other information that they exchange that is vital?
Murtagh decides that he's going to go up there and deal with the Nalgorgoth situation.
Well, first he decides he's going to go to Nasuada. He's like, you know what? I think it's time. Mm-hmm. I think we should go to Nasuada, let her know what's going on. He writes a letter for Carabel as well to send to her, and is like, I think we gotta go talk to her.
Yeah.
Before that can happen. Murtagh's on his way out and runs into Lyrith, his old bully. Am I missing anything that happens before that? Because I think that's.
Does he go to Lyrith before Carabel?
Nope, after.
I have this all backwards in my head.
Yeah, so he goes to Lyrith. He runs into Lyrith, and Lyrith is like, "Oh my god!"
He co-signs a letter with Carabel.
Yes, to Nasuada. Make sure that it's him. Is like, there's some suspicious things going on. Gonna check it out. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Just want to, give you a heads up to be wary. Be on the watch. Don't get hurt.
And then he's like, how is she gonna know that this is from me and it's not a lie? And he basically writes equivalent of like, if you know, you know at the bottom.
Pretty much, yeah. From what he said to her in the room in Inheritance.
If you want to know if it's me, you know why.
Yeah. Very cute.
I'm in love with you.
Pretty much, yeah. There's like some people gossiping about Nasuada and how she's gonna have to like get married and like have an heir, and Murtagh's like, it's like the Arthur meme with the fist clenched. She's like, poor Murtagh. So yeah, Lyrith runs into him and is like, come with me, I will help you out. And takes him to this like shitty looking place that's beautiful inside. That was clearly a hideout used by the Forsworn when they were trying to meet without Galbatorix knowing. Mm-hmm. There's 13 chairs around the table. Very ominous. Obviously, it's the Forsworn. And they sit down. They have some delicious pastries. And Lyrith is like, hey, so we're not going to talk about the fact that I bullied you. How about you become king?
Yeah.
I'll help you. There's some other people. We'll help you out. This whole Nasuada thing ain't gonna last very long. So how about you just, you be another Rider King? And Murtagh is like, no. It's like, that's a terrible idea.
No thanks.
The fuck is wrong with you?
No thanks. We already got one. We don't need another one. It's already been done.
Literally. And Lyrith is like, damn, that's too bad. And he presses a button, and Murtagh falls into something called a Tangle Box, which sounds like a literal nightmare. Mm-hmm. it's like a box that like squeezes and compresses you and makes this really loud noise so you can't concentrate on casting spells. Specifically designed to capture and kill spellcasters.
It just plays a Rickroll, but like really loud.
Never gonna give you
So you drop
up.
in the box and it starts to compress, and all you hear is
It's great.
And he's like, I can't use magic. I got Rickrolled.
I can't think. He's like, I can't think of the ancient language, so I'm gonna cast wordless magic instead. And he just says he thinks stop, which stops the Rickrolling.
Yeah.
The music turns
He
off.
does give it up.
Yeah, but he's still being like squished and suffocated to death.
Yeah.
And passes the fuck out and comes to because Thorne flies in and saves it. Thorne's like, I flew very fast.
Why are you always in danger?
Yeah. Takes him out of the Tangle Box, and this sequence is so dark.
Yeah.
Because Thorne breaks into the house, and the house starts crumbling onto Thorne.
Yeah.
And that, like, triggers his PTSD claustrophobia. And Thorne goes feral. Murtagh cannot communicate with him mentally. He is ruled by his fear. And, like, a rational but also irrational fear. Like, he's obviously not in the cage that Galbatorix put him in, but, like, it's still that trauma response from being held by Galbatorix for so long. It's so heartbreaking. Thorne freaks the fuck out, and like lights Gilead on fire to get out of there. Like, books it.
Burns down like a community.
Yeah. People probably die. They don't know for sure, but like most likely, yeah. They're like, there's no way they got out of that unscathed.
Yeah, it's tragic, and
it's heartbreaking.
It's what I love about Christopher Paolini's writing, right?
Yeah.
Is that this world is real to these characters in a way that their traumas are so deeply ingrained in them that it causes them to do the wrong thing so clearly, right? It is so clearly the wrong thing. And yet you completely understand why this dragon, who had the childhood that it has, because this dragon's only, a year and 8 months old?
Yeah, you can't blame Thorne.
This dragon has only lived for so long, and you end up in Arzu brings up it's like Saphira's first flight with Aragon, and it is without the fire, obviously, but
the fear
and Aragon's inability to communicate through it. The way that Christopher Paolini allows the traumas that he puts his characters through to affect their actions is so brilliant, and allows the world to feel so real, and for these characters to be so three-dimensional that I love it. It is fully fleshed out writing in a way that I think is so fucking good. And yeah, as dark and as like difficult as this scene is, I have no complaints about the way that it goes down, because I'm like, yeah, I felt it. I felt this in my bones.
Yeah.
And that's what I want from writing, right? I want fantasy writing to take the fantastical and make it relatable. And I related to a dragon so hard in this moment. And I was like, oh, fuck, this is good.
You feel so bad for him.
Yeah.
And again, with the parallels, like this, Gilead is the city that Saphira ripped the roof off of to get to Aragon. And it is the same city where Thorne ripped the roof off of his house to get to Murtagh.
Yeah.
Which I just, like, it's so clever. It's not like blatant, like it's well done.
And they're very different situations. One is drugged so he can't use magic. The other is getting rickrolled in the basement of the Forsworn's old house.
Getting rickrolled sucks.
Yeah, it's terrible. It is the worst thing that can happen to a person.
Truly the worst thing.
Other than being tortured as a young dragon and made into a claustrophobic
forced into a small hole with murder holes, and they stab you with the spears, and you can't do anything about it. It's fucked up. Murtagh recalls Thorne's like first days, first weeks, first months as like a hatchling, and it is so heartbreaking.
Yeah, it really is. But it's so well written, like it allows you to feel everything about it deeply.
Yeah. We get more details about that later, which we will talk about. But yeah, this like fear that Thorne has of enclosed spaces because of Galbatorix is, it's so heartbreaking. So they fly away from Gilead. It's several hours before they can Murtagh can communicate again. He's just trying to send Thorne soothing thoughts, even though Murtagh is also very upset.
Yeah.
Because he knows people got hurt, but he doesn't want Thorne to feel worse about it because he knows it's not Thorne's fault. Like, their relationship is so complicated and relatable. And they fly somewhere safe. And they're able to rest. You know, they got information that they needed.
Yeah.
They got out. They are alive. And Thorne is like, I want to work on this. We're gonna practice facing my fears. And so the next day they like find a thicket of trees, and Murtagh kind of walks in and encourages Thorne to follow him. And Thorne has a tough time.
He can't do it.
Yeah, he can kind of a little bit, but like that fear is so strong that the way that he describes it like breaks my heart. He's like, I feel like I'm going to die.
Yeah.
Like he's like, I cannot do this. They work on it as they fly north towards the Dreamers. Try to work on it every day when they can. Sometimes it's better and sometimes it's worse. Yeah. It's definitely not easy, but like Thorne is trying. And that's like, yeah. Thorne might be like my new favorite character.
Yeah, because he's so complex.
World. Yeah. He's so funny as well.
He's got a great sense of humor.
Like, he's hilarious, but he's so traumatized. And, like, my heart breaks for him. It's so good. It's so well written. I asked Paolini, I was like, do you know anyone with claustrophobia? Like, I'm curious, like, how you're able to write this. He's like, no, I just, like, you know, it's like, fear itself is an experience, right? Yeah. And, like, I think that's why, you know, I don't have claustrophobia, but, like, we can all relate to those, like, moments of panic and fear that kind of overwhelm us.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Murtagh realizes that because of Thorne's actions, he can't go to Naswada. Yeah. Because the word of his destruction in Gilead will have reached the city, and he doesn't know what kind of welcome he would get, given everything.
And he doesn't want to put Naswada in that position.
Yeah.
Which I understand.
And so he's like, let's go to Nal Gorgoth. Let's deal with this. And Thorne kind of is like, why? You've told Naswada. Why is this our job? And Thorne, or Murtagh says, like, if I'm going to get stabbed in the back, I would rather turn around, like, face it and know that it's coming. If there is a danger in the night, I want to know what that danger is. I don't want to just wait until it is too late for me to, like, you know, do something about it.
If we live our lives in ignorance and just, you know, turn a blind eye to what's happening in the world, it will bite us in the ass one day. Yeah. And
especially since this is a world where you do have enemies.
Yeah. Yeah. And so, they head towards Nal Gorgoth. They have this flight. This is where we saw the Urgel villages that we talked about at the beginning of the podcast.
Yeah, I love the inquisitiveness in Murtagh in this. I love the, like, oh, maybe I need to spend time with them.
Oh, he's like, he is surprised to realize that he would actually like to talk to an Urgel. Yeah. And, like, find out about them. Because he never had that chance, right? We saw that relationship that Aragon got to have with, like, Nargashvog. But obviously Murtagh not present for that. And so he is still kind of just as much in the dark as Aragon was. Yeah. And also, the difference between Aragon and Murtagh is Aragon is almost forced into having to accept the Urgels in a way. Yeah. And then only once he's been in their minds, he really understands and can, like, let that go. But Murtagh is, like, fully willing to, like, have a conversation with the Urgels and, like, learn more about them. Murtagh loves learning. He's so inquisitive. Aragon is too, but in a different way, where Aragon just, like, doesn't stop asking questions, but Murtagh actually, like, seems to seek out the information that he needs in a different way.
Aragon also had to. Yeah, like, I feel like Murtagh more wants to.
Yeah, but Murtagh is also, like, a poet. Like,
I love that he loves dancing. He's like, the only thing I loved about Galbatorix's court was dancing.
Yeah, and he makes up these poems while he's flying on Thorne, because he's got nothing else to do.
They're like, so bad.
Well, the one was pretty good.
He gets one eventually. Yeah. But some of them are like...
Well, there's one that he's like, I'm not even going to write this down because it wasn't good. You know, it's not good. But
some of them remind me of, like teenagers writing, like, my heart is black as coal, my blood is red like the stains on the ketchup packets of my life. He's a very emotional Sag boy.
Sure.
It's like the fantasy equivalent, but
I guess. I like the one that he comes up with when they're flying towards Nagorgoth, but yeah.
They're just very emotional.
Yeah, some of them are funny.
That's where the reading leads us this week. We're going to talk about the rest of the book next week.
They get to the place where the earth smells bad.
Yeah, the beginning of it.
Yeah, and that's where we pick up next week for book club.
Yes.
Yeah.
Clarus, should we just jump right into high-low for this week?
Yeah, if chat has any questions, anything that we missed that you wanted us to touch on, now's the time to let us know. But
Shafika brings up that they like the he's trying to control his thoughts so not to Thorne feel worse.
Yeah.
That really is a great indicator of the relationship between Thorne and Murtagh in this book.
Yeah, Murtagh is very upset, but doesn't want to make Thorne feel worse for no reason. Like, if there's one thing that I cannot stand in like relationships that I see, it's when someone will try and make their partner or their friend like feel worse about a situation where like they already have acknowledged that like maybe they fucked up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Like they made a mistake. There's no point in just like shitting all over them for it. There's no point. It doesn't help anyone.
The interesting thing about the Dragon Rider relationship is that for the most part the relationship starts as parent-child. And Murtagh is kind of more of a parent to Thorne than a friend right now. Because Thorne is barely over a year old. Yeah. Right? And so, yes, he's gone through a lot in that year. And yes, he has, like, dragon memories and all of that stuff. But his muscle memory for how to behave isn't fully formed yet. He's so young. Yeah. And so there is almost a, like, parental unit that you have to become first. And I think that by the end of this book, they start to grow out of that and become more equals, and much in the same way that Aragon and Saphira did. But at this point, I think that there's still some parental necessity needed in the relationship. Yeah. Because Thorne is just he doesn't have life experiences. He has memories. He's just a little guy. And that makes the relationship between those characters interesting. Oh, Arzu, we didn't talk about the light spell.
Yeah, Murtagh's trying to experiment with some magic. Yeah. Him and Aragon really need to have a conversation. Murtagh...
They really do.
They really need to...
Like, I get that Murtagh wants to do his own thing, but he needs to go learn some shit.
Yeah, you need to... Yeah,
because the Drangar will beat him in a fight eventually.
Well, or Murtagh is just gonna fucking explode a town and not realize it. Like, he, is experimenting with this light spell... because he finds, that's the other thing he finds in the, like, tunnels, is the dictionaries.
Right, he finally gets words.
Of magic words. Very cool. Yeah. And he, like, fully, like, creates an explosion. Yeah. I don't know how that happened. I'm sure there's, like, a physics,
He's messing around with the energy of light. And, like, it comes from the idea of people in the past, not understanding, like, we know now that light is just energy, right? We know that, but they don't. And so in his manipulation of energy, which he's interested in, he uses light, and light is a lot of energy, and he creates basically a bomb.
Well, it almost felt like one of the flameless lanterns that wasn't contained.
Interesting. That's a nice touch.
Yeah, that like the elves and the dwarves made together. Because the dwarven craftsmanship was able to like capture that energy, but Murtagh just kind of like released it like a bomb. Yeah. Luckily nobody died, but like it could have been bad.
Shafika says yes. His refusal to go to Aragon for help was frustrating. Agreed.
I agree.
But he's a frustrating character.
Frustrating, but I understand it.
Necessary.
As well. Yeah, like, I'm like, fuck, I get it. But, like, he's like, I know Aragon would say yes if I asked, and that pisses me off. I'm like, okay, all right,
I get it. Boy. I hate asking for help.
Yeah. Yeah. I think a lot of us do, and I think that we all should ask for help more often than we do.
Probably.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, and so that's Murtagh Part 1.
Yeah.
This was fun. This book was good.
It's great.
Yeah.
I there's so much that I really enjoy in this book, and also as an addition to the inheritance cycle.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
yeah, well done. Fantastic. I hope you guys are enjoying it as much as we are.
Yeah. I'm excited to talk about the rest of it next week. It'll be probably less fun to talk about than the first half. Just a warning, this book
It gets
dark.
dark. It gets dark.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just so you know.
If you haven't finished it yet and you're like, oh no, am I up for like a fun Rick Rollin adventure? No. The second half of this book is dark, but in a way that I think allows for the world to feel as dangerous as it did during the inheritance cycle, which is important. If we're going to keep getting stories here, I feel like you have to kind of find a way to have the stakes that the inheritance cycle had. And that's what the second half of this book really builds really well. Can't wait to talk about it next week.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. So, Clarus, what was your high?
My high for this first section, this is going to be like kind of like a weird one. But my high was like reading the scene with Essie and then going back and reading the Fork story and
I love that.
like comparing this scene with two very different perspectives from the two important characters in it, and Essie's train of thought and Murtagh's train of thought. Like, you know, what you didn't get in the Fork was Murtagh worrying about Essie's like safety because of the burn, and then we didn't get like Murtagh like taking Essie like very seriously, like they're having this same scene told from two different perspectives, so it's kind of a high for like both books. Sorry about it, but I loved that. I thought it was brilliant. I thought it was really fun to analyze, and I had a blast reading it. What is your low?
Yeah, we do her high, my low, her low, my high, so that we complement sandwich the book.
Yeah.
My low for this section. That's tough. A lot of it's really fun. I think that maybe just that Murtagh doesn't reach out for help when he realizes how big the problem is.
Yeah.
And just because of the other people that are in danger, this isn't really just about him, but he makes it about him as sort of this like way of trying to make up for his past failings, and in doing so, he puts more people in danger. And you know, that just is frustrating to watch, but it's also good writing. So it's my low for like my experience of it, but not for like the writing of it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, because you're like, I totally understand, and it checks out for this character.
I'm just frustrated with Murtagh in this book a lot.
Yeah.
But I get why I'm frustrated with him. Like, I understand why it's written that way, and I think that like if I wasn't, it would be too easy. But it doesn't change my experience of it.
Yeah. My low is that we didn't get Murtagh asking Thorne for a scale.
Oh, and like his anger. Yeah, that's fair.
That would have been a great moment.
Yeah.
But that's okay. What's your high?
Esfar. Just as a character, I really, really liked Esfar. I was attached to him very quickly. And really just, I enjoyed the interaction between them. And I liked that it really built up a genuine regret in Murtagh that wasn't just like, oh, I have to break my oath, but it went deeper into like, oh, I'm letting down this very kind boy who's you know, never done anything to me, but I have to. And I found like the moral complication of that really wonderful and well written, and it just it made me so sad, but in a really great way. And I love that. Yeah.
No, I think I think he is he's not there for a long time, but I think that he definitely has an impact, which matters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is our highs and lows. If you like this podcast, give it 5 stars on Apple Music or Apple Podcast, whatever the fuck, Spotify, all those places. If you like this show and you're watching on YouTube, like and subscribe. Do all the dang things. Hit the dislike button. Leave me comments down below, because the algorithm god is hungry and we must feed her. This episode, that algorithm goddess is
Essie.
Yeah, Essie. I hope you grow up to have a wonderful life.
Yeah.
And I'm glad
for good.
I'm glad that Murtagh didn't like give you a curse like Elva.
Yeah.
If you want to follow us around the internet, you can. I'm at nerdynightly.
I'm at Claris Polaris.
As always, do something nerdy tonight.
Yeah, and come back on Saturday for the roleplay relay too.
That's right. This podcast was brought to you by MissyMountainGaming.com. Use code nerdynightly15 for 15% off your dice and accoutrement purchase.
Yeah.
Clarus, where would you have added sex? How do we smut corner this?
Look, here's the thing. I think that like Murtagh has been alone for a really long time. I think that like Elena should have been there. And they should have just, like, boned down before he met with Carabel.
See, I was thinking, like, maybe him and Candelabra could have had a little bit of a, like, trading of information.
Interspecies relationship?
Why not?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I feel
Are
like...
you against werecat sex?
No, I wonder if it, like, functionally would work the same way. I don't know.
Do male werecats have barbed penises?
Oh, that's a good question. I hope not.
Yeah.
That sounds awful.
Cat penises are a nightmare.
Yeah, no, don't look it up. Don't look it up.
It's tough. There's not a lot of places where you can add sex in this.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know how to smut corner this book. I really don't. Like, there's not really a good place.
No, I think that's kind of it.
Yeah. We'll end on, do male werecats have barbed penises?
I love that for us.
Do something nerdy tonight. Oh, wait. You talk for a second. I have to go end it over there. So
make sure you come check out the Roleplay Relay. We have trophies to give away. Trophies for, not for you, sorry, fuck you, but for the players.